Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is Friday, January 23rd, 8:45 a.m. We are on time. Your boy has not been late, to be honest. Maybe once, twice this whole year, we have been on time to start these shows, and we're here on a Friday. I need to pick up my mic more often. Like I always had that musician dream. I need to need to act like I'm holding the mic and really singing here. But we're live. We're here. It is indeed a Friday. We are ending out the third trading week of 2026 for January. We are heading into the last week next week. Next week, we have the FOMC meeting, which is going to be very important. We also have big tech earnings, which is also going to be very important as we finally get to see if big tech can start to rebound from the slump that they have been in over the past 23 days. And then we head into February. So it has been a pretty momentous January with a variety of things happening. We have a bunch of headlines this morning. I mean, pretty much every day, more and more headlines continue to compound as these markets get more complex to imagine. But we're going to talk about it, analyze it, and go deeper into everything we got. Now, there is going to be a massive snowstorm over the weekend across the Midwest, the Northeast, and the South. Take a look at this picture. If you're in the United States and you live in any of these areas, which I would imagine a ton of people do, man, this is going to be aggressive. Like Florida escapes it, and then California, Nevada, and then like the sort of extreme West Coast escapes it. But everyone else, you're going to get hit pretty bad. I mean, Canada, they were talking about negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. They're talking about the most snow we've seen in 25 years. It's quite incredible how serious this is. I mean, the last time I think we got a winter warning threat like this was maybe 8 years ago, and that ended up being a nothing burger. So this one being as aggressive as it looks like it's going to be, all I want to say is stay safe if you're in these areas, because if it actually negative 20 in Detroit, yeah, like in Jersey, I think it's 30 degrees. It feels like 20. That's not that crazy. But like negative, I don't think we've had negative in Jersey in a long time. This is why I live in San Diego. Yes, if you live in Florida or San Diego or one of these nice states, you don't have to worry about this. But like I'm just getting more and more headlines about how bad this thing is going to be. And maybe it's not going to be that bad. Maybe it's just being marketed and people are like selling fear and stuff because they want to be, they want to get attention and talk about how big the storm is going to be. And it's an interesting subject because it affects so many people. But like, what if it is that bad? So definitely everyone should be safe. Hopefully stay indoors, stock up. And yeah, I guess this is going to be a weekend where most people end up having to stay home. Bitcoin right there, 89.3. The S&P 500. I think we're green in the pre-market. Nope, we are slightly red. Nvidia is green. We've got a major headline on Nvidia that we'll get into. Nvidia right there, 187. That's up 1.18%. AMD, baby, 260. How good does it feel to be an AMD shareholder? We'll talk about AMD as this one has had a massive week. It was $200 last week. It's $259 right now. So you've got to feel happy about that. Intel, crappy earnings in terms of guidance. That's down 12%. Stock was up 50% for the month. Probably needed to take a breather, but we'll talk about Intel and their earnings as well. Hood is flat a little bit. Palantir is up a little bit. Overall, S&P is relatively flat. Nvidia is the green one, and then we'll get into the kind of core Nvidia headline that could be pushing all the semiconductors higher today if that headline continues to be exciting. Yeah, it's going to be cold. It is going to be cold. Negative 30 in Chicago. If we do a Chicago meetup, it's going to happen in the summer. Negative 15 Wisconsin. I feel like New Jersey's never gotten that cold. And I don't know if it's going to happen this time, but we're going to see over this weekend how bad it ends up getting. All right, given we're talking about states already, it is Friday, so let's do this. Where are you watching from? Put in the chat. Let's spend a couple minutes, see where everyone's watching from, and then we will get into the headlines. Also, it's Friday. We got through the week. It's been a rough week ever since the Greenland tariffs came out. We got a taco this week, so it is nice to get to the end of the week and kind of reverse course from how bad we thought it was going to be. And now we're kind of back to normal, which is not the worst thing in the world. We got Portugal in the house. We got Miami. Gene says, come back. Dude, I can't wait to come back to Miami. I cannot wait. I love Miami. I will hopefully be back soon. We got New Orleans, Fort Lauderdale, Bosnia. I love that. Leza, good morning from Long Beach, California. Berlin. Alex from South Africa. Beaver from Denmark. Anna from Romania. Sol from Australia. Il March from Italy. Randy from Toronto. Can't wait to come back to Toronto as well. Canada is going to be bad this weekend for Canada, from what I've been hearing. So it will be. I know it's already cold there, but looks like it's going to continue to be cold. We got Armenia, Bronx, New York, Montreal, Scotland, Bulgaria, Israel, Miami, Austin, Kansas, LA meetup. Put the date on your calendar, March 28th. I will give the final confirmation next week, but we are making LA happen. I'm putting down the deposit for the venue probably on Tuesday, and LA is definitely happening. I'm very excited. We have 25 spots left for New York. I'm putting the link in the chat. We are officially coming to the end of New York. It's going to be about 350 people. So if you are in New York or want to come through February 1st, you can get your ticket right there. And this should be very fun to see everybody. I'm really looking forward to the meetup. I am really looking forward to it. It's always fun to meet people in person and get to talk about the stock market, because it's Steve and I were talking about this last night. Like, we just have no one else to talk to about it. So hopefully these meetups create an opportunity, and you get to network and actually create friendships and group chats, and you get to like find a little bit more of a community outside of the chat in person, which is fun. We got Mexico, Santa Cruz, California, Frankfurt, Vietnam, Sweden, Costa Rica. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Happy Friday. Let's get into it. All right, NVIDIA. So we woke up to some pretty good news on NVIDIA. It looks like it feels like a recycled headline, because it is a recycled headline, and it's gone back and forth so many freaking times. Someone said they're from Greenland. Are you actually from Greenland? If you're from Greenland, that would actually be kind of cool. NVIDIA is now cleared to be allowed to sell their H200s to tech companies in China. So Chinese officials have officially said Alibaba, Tencent, JD, all these companies are allowed to now buy NVIDIA chips, ByteDance, etc. The stipulation is that these companies can discuss the specifics, but China is encouraging them to buy domestic chips. So they have to buy a certain percentage that are domestic in order to meet the prerequisite qualifications to be able to buy NVIDIA. So I think you're going to have Alibaba buy a bunch of Huawei chips that they probably don't need just to be able to buy NVIDIA chips. But the NVIDIA chips are so important to them, even if they're not the Blackwell chips or the Vera Rubin chips, because the H200s were still pretty good chips, in order to get access to building better AI systems. And so, yes, obviously the Chinese companies want the latest and greatest chips. The Commerce Department of the United States is not willing to sell them those chips. If NVIDIA can even print, $50 billion TAM, if they can get like 20% of that, 15% of that this year, that's adding another $10, $15 billion of revenue to their top line growth for a company that's probably already going to beat with their domestic numbers. I mean, that continues to be pretty bullish for NVIDIA. Now, does this pump get faded? I mean, who knows? It got to 189 from 184 in the pre-markets. Does this get faded? It obviously could get faded. Every single pump on NVIDIA for the past 20 days has been faded, but maybe it doesn't. So it's nice to see this make a move higher. All the semis have been benefiting from this. Broadly, in terms of the broader demand, even if their stock prices are not reflecting that, but hopefully the stock can actually get some momentum as well. Now, AMD was up yesterday on an upgrade, 259 right here. I don't think anything new happened this morning. If someone has the headline, let me know. I didn't see anything in particular for AMD. I think now it's a little bit of FOMO, but also a little bit of momentum. Remember that the stock was at 267 back in October. So it's not like this is brand new territory for AMD to be sitting at these levels. But the fact that it was $200 last week is pretty damn incredible. And I think that's why you're getting a bit more momentum here. Also, I think AMD is up because Intel, which we should just get into Intel right here. Intel had a good earnings. They beat EPS by 88%. The problem is their guide was not bad because of demand, not bad because like there's not customers that want access to their chips or their fabs. Honestly, it was because of their execution. Like if you read through the quarter, and for those that listened to the call, I didn't listen to it, but I heard people that did listen to the call. It was pretty horrendous what the CFO was saying. I mean, literally they were admitting that essentially we didn't cross our T's and dot our I's. And if we did, like, yes, there is a supply chain issue we have, but a lot of the supply chain is why, NVIDIA and AMD deserve a lot of credit. Not only do they have to build the chip, design the chip, make the chip more efficient and productive, they have to be able to manufacture the chip, or at least work with the people that are manufacturing the chip in order to get it to the end customer. And Intel was basically like, yeah, we weren't able to do that. That's the summary of it. And you could blame it on the lack of supply issues, but obviously the PC market's getting more expensive. All component prices on PCs, if you've been keeping up with the market, have been going up. Memory prices is the biggest one that we've been talking about. So yeah, you have a little bit of or you have some like two macro headwinds right there in terms of supply and overall PC prices going up. But in reality, this stock's down 12% because management dropped the ball on execution. Now, I don't think they're going to drop the ball on execution throughout the entire year, but it's not like Intel's the most compelling company in the world to imagine that their leaders are going to be able to turn this thing around. And, the stock's already up even after this 11% drawdown, 30% this year. So they probably feel pretty good that they've delivered value to shareholders. And, Jensen and Trump are still up a hefty amount on their stake. So I think that's part of the reason why AMD is up, because AMD's execution in the CPU market compared to Intel's lack of execution is also likely a reason why AMD is getting momentum and why they likely continue to just be the better bet in the overall ecosystem. Broadcom has been getting hit over the past couple of weeks. Wow, Broadcom 317. I don't know what's happening there to Broadcom. That is weird. This is the lowest it's been since earnings. Remember, it was at 420 on earnings. They just got a price target upgrade to 430 from Wells Fargo, up from 410. I don't know why they're down on this news. Intel, I don't think has anything to do with Broadcom. I mean, maybe they're being seen as an OpenAI proxy like Oracle, but if anything, AMD is the biggest OpenAI proxy because they've agreed to sell 10% of the company to AMD or to OpenAI. Not sure why that one's getting hit. And I don't see a headline right there. S&P, did we just go red? No, it's the same that it was in the pre-market. I am seeing a lot more red candles right here. I don't see any big headlines right now, but I am seeing some more red candles pop up. If Nvidia goes red, then we'll see if there's any macro headline, because this one kind of should maintain its momentum. Tesla's falling. Tesla just went red as well. We got a lot of updates on Tesla. We'll talk about that that happened yesterday. Tesla was up 4% yesterday, 415 at the lows. Kind of moved up to 449. Also, KeyBank reiterated their overweight position on Microsoft. 630 is their price target. 630. Microsoft is sitting here at 450. I mean, 450 to 630, upside of 40%. The question is, will the street give them some of that momentum? Gold and silver, before we get into the macro headlines, silver did not hit 100 yet, at least not on my screen. Silver's at 99.3. Congratulations once again if you are in this name. Gold is very close to 5,000. It got to 49.37 earlier last night, and it's pretty incredible. Now, part of the reason I think gold and silver are pumping, and Bitcoin's getting a little bit of a pump, and this happened last night. I had no idea this was happening last night. I guess didn't pay attention to this, but Japan didn't raise their rates. Japan didn't raise their rates. Silver spot is 100 already. All right, well, there you go. Spot prices on silver at $100. I mean, 99.5. It's basically there. I thought the next Japan rate hike was going to be, or a rate decision was going to be like a month from now. Apparently, it was last night. Japan's central bank on Friday raised economic growth forecast while holding its key policy rate at 0.75% as the country prepares to go on a snap election on February 8th. So this is bullish for the yen carry trade, because the people that are borrowing in yen are not going to have to pay higher prices in order to be able to borrow in yen, which means they can continue to buy US stocks or Bitcoin or whatever they want to do with the arbitrage within the currencies. But it also means that Japan is dealing with a variety of issues that they might have recognized doing conflicting monetary policies, aka tightening and then stimulating, which again, it doesn't really make that much sense, but I guess in their certain environment, it does. You can't be printing money and then tightening. Like, what's the point of doing one versus the other? But Japan's very complex. It seems like they kind of decided to stop the tightening and just allow the stimulus to take place. It hasn't really affected the 10-year, 4.29 on the US 10-year. We're trying to get this thing down below 4.2. But I guess it is good that Japan ended up not massively raising rates again. And yeah, silver and gold continuing to inch higher. So I think Japan kind of leaving the rates where they were probably also was a catalyst for silver and gold. And I mean, you have a little bit more easy money in the system, and some of that money might be finding its way to commodities. And I think it should be finding its way to Bitcoin. And you got a little bit of a pump this pre-market, but just not enough to compare to what's happening with gold and silver. All right, so that's what we have with gold, silver, Japan, and then obviously Nvidia again, pretty big news. China is allowing them to finally buy their chips. Also, Jensen's going to China like today, if I'm not wrong. And it makes sense that China officially approved this right before Jensen, because, well, they probably want his business and they want to do more with them. Here's Jensen just yesterday talking a little bit more about China.
Different chips. I mean, have you started getting the licenses to sell chips to China?
President Trump and we applaud him for doing this, has now licensed us to sell H200s to China. We're currently shipping Blackwells, and a couple of weeks ago, I announced our next generation that will go into production in Q3 of this year, which is called Vera Rubin.
Okay, so the Rubin, what is the most advanced chip?
It's 10 times more energy efficient than Blackwell. It's 10 times lower cost for generating tokens than Blackwell. 10 times. And Blackwell was 10 times that of Hopper. So
now that those chips can go into China, not the Blackwell chips, but at least the H200s, hopefully that ultimately should be decent for NVIDIA. All right, let's get into some of the other pretty big headlines we have. So let's go through a bunch of different macro charts that I pulled up together. I think these will really be important to give a little bit of a glimpse of where we are in the broader market. First, take a look at this. This stat I think was incredible. I shared this yesterday on the close, but for those that didn't see it, individual investors bought 1.8 billion of the S&P 500 2 days ago. 1.8 billion of the S&P 500 2 days ago. Not the day we fell 2%, the day after, where the taco came in and we recovered 1%. It was the third largest inflow since the April 2025 recovery. Year to date, retail purchases have exceeded $1 billion every single day. And for the week ending January 14th, individual investors purchased 12 billion worth of equities, the largest weekly inflow in the last 3 months. This includes 5 billion in single stock purchases from retail, the highest in 9 months. Retail appetite continues to be strong. It continues to be a buy the dip generation. Retail continues to get awarded for buying the dip. I mean, look at a stock like VG, which is pushing $10 in the pre-market, just at $9.60. It was $10 a day ago, up 1%. Whoever bought the dip on that at $5-6, I mean, you've done well. Whoever bought the dip on AMD a week ago at 200, you've done well. Like, it's been a market sentiment thing. And I don't think this buy the dip mentality changes until we get a wipeout, which I don't want to happen. And that would be very painful to go through. But I literally think the only thing that can get people to stop taking out margin and to stop buying the dip constantly, stop loading up on calls, etc., is if we get a flush out. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, so what are the sort of qualifications or justifications for that flush out? And I think we've talked about it over and over again. I don't see the recession happening based on the labor data. PCE yesterday was pretty good. Don't see the Fed not cutting at least twice this year. GDP is running hot. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, are we gonna have some crazy geopolitical thing? Well, we had the Greenland thing, market kind of flinched, but it didn't really care. If we kind of avoid stuff like that over the next couple of years, maybe we don't have to have that massive flush out. AI could be fake, that could happen, but if AI is not fake, then I think we're gonna be all right. So from that perspective, it does seem like retail will continue to buy the dip. And Trump yesterday at Davos, he was talking about how he wants to see the stock market go higher. He literally said, when I announced the Greenland pivot, I saw the stock market go up that day. So he kept an eye on the stock market as he announced certain policy measures, which means you've got the president who is on your side. But it's not just retail investors. Take a look at this chart right here as well. It's pretty freaking incredible. This is from Bank of America fund managers. Based on their latest survey, the fund manager cash level, these are people that manage institutional money. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars in certain funds, is at a record low 3.2%. 3.2%. This is the lowest it's ever been. The lowest it's ever been. Now, this could be interpreted as bearish, as too many people are bullish on the market and therefore something bad could happen. But it also goes to show that institutional money, not just retail money, once again finds its way to come into the markets. And for the cash that these institutional investors have on the sidelines to be at just 3% of funds, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's similar to a lot of retail investors that either have, maybe 4 or 5% in cash, maybe 10% max. Most people are invested unless you're just full on bearish and you're waiting on the sidelines. And it does feel like a lot more money is getting put into the system. All right, a couple other macro stats. Take a look at this. Once again, proving the bullish case. Equity put call ratio is now at 0.41. This is the lowest since May 14th, 2021. More and more people are buying calls over puts as we have the lowest ratio on the S&P 500 when it comes to the options market since May of 2025. Now, May of 2025 is when we started to really rebound after Liberation Day of April of 2025. We went on to go for 5 months of pure green, not even a negative 1% day on the S&P 500 in about 200 days. I don't know if we're going to repeat that, but if we were to repeat that, that would obviously be very bullish. The one thing that's not really benefiting, though, ironically, is the S&P 500. What is benefiting is the Russell 2000. Small caps outperformed large caps by 5% this month so far, while the S&P 500 is on track to close at a monthly all-time high, which is good, but you have a over 5x performance, 500% compared to small caps versus the S&P. Historically, this setup saw the S&P rally more 8 months later, every time 8 months later, with an average gain of 9.7%, which is pretty much exactly what analysts are calling for, around that 10 to 11% gain. So if the S&P 500 historically is outperformed by the Russell by 5% in the month of January, the S&P closes at a monthly all-time high, and 8 months later, we are positive. The last time this happened was August 29th of 2025. And so if we continue to see this happen, then maybe you're going to get even more momentum for the S&P. And I think big tech earnings is what's really going to lead the way for that. Obviously, we've got to see a lot more large caps participate in this rally, but if we do see that happen, then that would be a pretty decent thing as well. GTA 6 before Bitcoin hits 100,000. Yeah, maybe we'll get GTA 6 before Bitcoin 100K. So the point is, it just like fear and greed's only at 53. Like, I don't know if this is like, oh my goodness, you have to bind to strength around neutral on fear and greed, but it's also like, hey, there's too many strong reasons not to necessarily sell. And as a result of that, I think that's why the bulls continue to maintain a little bit more momentum here. Okay, Tesla. Let's talk about Tessie. Tessie had a hell of a day yesterday. Officially, Tesla has unveiled in Austin a robotaxi without a safety monitor. So as you can see right there, this was the first video ever posted. Someone entered into a robotaxi. There is no safety monitor that was needed, and they had a normal robotaxi ride, which is one of the rides that people have been waiting for a long time. In fact, people started doing some price comparisons based on what they were seeing. Look at this person in Austin, 7-minute wait, $1.95 for the robotaxi, $13 for an Uber. Now, obviously Tesla's subsidizing this stuff and it's not like fully scaled out, and maybe the price comparisons are a little bit different. But the point is, could you imagine if you're in a city and you need to get to the airport and it costs $15 versus $60? I mean, Uber and Lyft, guess what? Down 3% yesterday on this, because when you see this stuff happen, although Uber's free cash flows are incredible, their price to earnings multiples compared to their peers are incredible, AMD gapping up a little bit right there at 261. This narrative of Tesla fundamentally winning this game is prevalent. And not to Tesla, Waymo as well, but just like all these companies that are finding a way to win when it comes to self-driving. It's just if Tesla can become the cheapest and have the most vehicles that are out there, obviously that would be pretty bullish. Tesla right there, 447. That is down 0.52% as well. So, and this was confirmed, by the way. You had a bunch of Tesla employees confirming that robotaxi rides without any safety monitors are now publicly available in Austin. And the question is how fast they can scale this. Starting with a few unsupervised vehicles, mix them with a broader robotaxi fleet with safety monitors, and the ratio will increase over time. That was from the head of AI at Tesla. I don't know, dude. It's exciting. Obviously, Tesla's expensive. The multiple's up there, but man, you had Elon buy a lot of stock at 385. You have the broader market realizing there's only one meaningful company that's producing a physical use case of AI, and it's Tesla. Like, what other company is actually implementing AI in the real world outside of Tesla? In the digital world, there's a lot of like Google, Meta, etc. But in the real world, it's Tesla. I told you guys that story a couple days ago about my dad, who's not the type of dad who spends a lot of money. I mean, he's relatively cheap. Even he told me a couple of days ago after his free trial ended for Tesla to upgrade his account to the $100 per month, because he was like, honestly, I can't live without it. Like, it's worth paying $100. The fact that my dad was like, okay, we could pay $100 for this, like $100 to my, it's a lot of money. And he's like, sure, we'll pay it for this self-driving thing. That's crazy. But it means that I think, you know, this is a really, really serious product that's not necessarily slowing down anytime soon. So that's what we got for Tessie. We'll see if the stock price can eventually get some momentum. Stock is still down year to date about 1% because it opened this year at, was it 480, 470 or something? So stock at 449 right now is still down from these levels. Okay, so those were some of the major updates on a couple of other different headlines we have. I don't think we have a ton of macro data today. Davos is finishing up. That is officially over. And we had a lot of different interviews from Davos, a lot of different people that talked about what was going on. I thought this one was pretty interesting. This was the Google DeepMind CEO and what he thinks is going on in the world of AI and kind of where the next step change is going to be. for AI to continue progressing at these levels.
All of the kind of research we've been doing over the last decade plus, really, that underpins a lot of the AI industry. So we always had all the ingredients, amazing product surfaces to plug AI into. And I think in the last year, what people are feeling is we've kind of organized that all in a really efficient way.
Okay, so where are you in the journey, though, in terms of what comes next about sort of productizing all of this, really getting it into all of these different surfaces? When am I going to see it in Gmail, for example?
Yeah, so look, everything starts first of all with the research and the model quality. So as you mentioned, we're very happy with how our latest Gemini model, Gemini 3, is working. We think it's, it's topping most of the leaderboards on most of the benchmarks. And the other thing we worked hard on in the last year is accelerating the infrastructure and, actually doing a lot of rewriting of the infrastructure to get the model quality as quickly as possible into our product surfaces. So you're starting to see that in, we're simultaneously shipping in search, obviously in the Gemini app. And then what you'll see this year is appearing in more and more places across all of our product surfaces, especially things like Gmail.
When people talk about getting to AGI and sort of how quickly all of this can scale, there's sort of two views. One is if you just throw more compute processing power at this, we can get there. There's another view that there needs to be some kind of really breakthrough scientific research shift. Which is it?
Well, actually, I have a kind of in-between view, which is that I think it's an empirical question. So I feel like we're still getting lots of amazing gains out of pushing the existing paradigms, these LLMs, these foundation models like Gemini. They're getting better and better with each iteration, and we see no end to that. But on the other hand, to get to full AGI, there's some missing capabilities still. They don't do continual learning. They don't have true creativity yet. They don't do long-term planning and reasoning. So it's a question mark about a couple more, maybe a handful, 2 or 3 new big breakthroughs needed in order to get to all the way to AGI, or will scaling up the existing techniques be enough? And we're doing both. So we have the luxury of basically having the deepest and broadest research bench, and we can push both to the maximum.
There's a big question about whether there's an AI bubble. You've heard that over and over again.
Yes.
Is there a bubble?
Well, I don't think it's a binary yes or no. I think the industry's big now, and there's many parts to it. I think some parts of the AI field may be in a bubble. I mean, if you look at things like the new hot startups that raising billions of dollars in a seed round with no product or technology yet, that seems a little bit.
By the way, for those that haven't kept up with it, Thinking Machines is one of those startups he's talking about. They raised $2 billion at a $10 billion valuation because they were ex-OpenAI employees. The CTO of OpenAI actually ended up leaving to start this company. She ended up having a relationship with one of the people at the company, and then that person ended up getting fired. This is the Wall Street Journal article that came out a couple of days ago. The messy human drama that dealt a blow to one of the AI's hottest startups. So it's at 30 billion valuation. Okay, well, Thinking Machines, again, they raised billions just because it was the ex-CTO of OpenAI, which I get, a CTO of OpenAI, like I get, very impressive, but to raise billions on no idea, or just an idea, no one even knew what the hell the idea was. It was just called Thinking Machines. And then she gets into a relationship with one of the employees, and then that causes drama. So he is right. There is a lot of nonsense going on in Silicon Valley when it comes to these AI startups. And that is where there could be a little bit more bubblicious behavior versus in the large caps.
Frothy to me and perhaps unsustainable. But on the other hand, there are lots of amazing use cases going on and products being used.
In terms of spending, people talk a lot about spending on data centers and the need for new chips. When you think about sort of what comes next, do you think we could have a DeepSeek-like moment rather, where there's some kind of major technological revolution where people say, oh, maybe we actually don't need all this processing power?
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely. And I also think the DeepSeek moment was a little bit overblown, in my opinion. Like they had to utilize some of the Western models in order to kind of fine tune against and to train from. So it wasn't, what they reported, this very small training number wasn't quite the full picture. It is possible that one of, there could be a left field breakthrough that does increase the efficiency of things, maybe things like self-improvement, where you could imagine there's some cycle which requires less compute power. But for now, we think that more compute. You need compute for lots of things, for training, for serving, and for exploring new ideas. But of course, we're also, all of us are trying to make our models, our leading models, as efficient as possible. So in fact, of the Gemini 3 models, our Flash model, which is sort of the workhorse model, may be the most important because we can deploy that everywhere.
A lot of hand wringing around here about jobs and what ultimately happens 10 years from now. Maybe it's 5 years from now. I don't know if you think, even when you look at employment numbers today, that to the extent that there's any softness, it's a function of AI and productivity being more successful.
Yeah, I think it's early days. I don't think there's any real evidence yet of any change in the job market. Perhaps a little bit on the entry level, maybe jobs and internships. But I think in the next 5 years, at least, it's going to be more than made up for with extraordinary new opportunities these tools are gonna deliver, especially for individual creators, artists and creators and game designers, for example, that can create whole apps almost on their own. So that should, I think, if I was to advise the youth of today,
yes,
and graduates,
what do you tell the kids?
Is get unbelievably proficient with the new tools, immerse yourself in it, become native with it, and then leapfrog, whatever professional ladder you're trying to get onto, leapfrog the incumbent people on that with these new skills, which are going to change the workplace. And I think there's going to be plenty of new opportunities anytime there's a lot of disruption.
I think it's 100% right on that. Kathy Wood said the same thing yesterday, that, and this is not, an original thought, but basically the argument is like, hey, if you're young, you have to get proficient in AI. Even if you're older, you have to get proficient in some form of AI, just because it makes you more marketable, makes you more valuable, and also gives you the tools you need to compete in a hyper competitive economy, and in a world in which you'll also be competing against different forms of AI. So the creativity is really important. Like if you have a startup idea, even 5 years ago, you had to brainstorm your own idea, make your own pitch deck, kind of like talk to yourself. Maybe you had a mentor, maybe you didn't. Now with ChatGPT, you can be like, hey, ChatGPT, I have this idea for this thing. Like, help me figure out a business plan. Help me figure out a go-to-market. Help me figure out if it's even worth exploring the idea. And you have this super intelligent creature that's just going to tell you everything. It really is incredible. Now, obviously, all of us are waiting to see the massive ROI from that. And we've already started to see it in productivity and margins and stuff. But, we need to see it at a very structured level. And if we can, then I think that's going to justify a lot more of the CapEx spend. Amit goes from UPS driver to Best Buy employee. I'm not even going to lie. That's a good one. I'm not even going to lie that I walked into that one. That will be the new one today, I guess. That was good. I'm not going to lie. That was good. I've gone to Best Buy many times, so I can, that's it. I'm just hopping from job to job at this point. Yeah, let the AI videos commence. Let the freaking Best Buy AI videos commence at this point. I am ready to see them. Kevin Hearn has released a new financial disclosure. He is one of the representatives we have in Congress. He sold $250,000 to $500K of UNH. All right, so we got a politician taking some profits right here on United Healthcare. Trump, let's talk about him. So a couple things he said yesterday. Real quick before that, Elon Musk said Cybercab production starts in April yesterday. Marquez Brownlee said he will shave his head if Tesla has Cybercab in production under $30,000 before 2027. Elon commented yesterday saying Cybercab production will start in April. So maybe if that happens, we'll see him shave his head. But yeah, now it's Elon saying this. Maybe it won't start in April because Elon says a lot of stuff. But if it does start in April, that's only a couple months away, which would be pretty cool to have Cybercab ultimately go in production. And that's on track with what they said. They said H1 of 2026. So that would be on track. All right, Greenland. Here's what Trump said yesterday on Air Force One about Greenland.
There was really a negotiation, but it's infinity. The time limit is infinity, meaning there is no time limit. It's forever. It's, you hear about 99 years, 50 years. It's forever. That was discussed. We can do anything we want. We can do military. We can do anything we want. And it's being negotiated, and let's see what happens. I think it'll be good.
Would the U.S. have
no price? There's no purchase price.
Would the U.S. have pockets of sovereignty over?
We have a lot of great things in the deal, and don't forget they're also good for Europe because when we're good, they're good, and if we're not good, that's not very good for them because we hold it all together. We're holding it all together.
Does that actually give you control of land in Greenland? Does it give U.S. control ownership of land?
Do whatever we want. We're all going to work together, and actually NATO is going to be involved with us. We're going to be doing in conjunction, parts of it in conjunction with NATO, which is really the way it should be.
But to be clear,
Now, this is what Trump is saying, but it's not exactly what other people are saying. So this is what the Prime Minister of Greenland had to say about this whole deal that Trump is talking about.
First of all, nobody else than Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark have the mandate to make deals or agreements about Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark without us. That's not going to happen. In terms of the deal there's been talking about, I don't know what's concrete in that deal either. But I know that we have now a high-level working group working on a solution for both parties. We have said from the beginning in Greenland, we have some red lines. We cannot cross the red lines. We have to respect our territorial integrity. We have to respect international law, sovereignty. We are ready to cooperate more in economics and in other areas, but that's something we have to talk about in mutual respect. In terms of wanting to own Greenland, your first question, until yesterday, we couldn't rule out anything. As I hear it, the will to have Greenland, to own Greenland, was still a part of the rhetoric yesterday. But as I said, respectful dialogue through the right channels is what we have been seeking from the get-go, and I also feel that's the intention now from the other parties, and I'm happy for that.
So, I mean, look, maybe there's a deal, maybe there's not a deal. Obviously, you got the Prime Minister saying, I mean, I don't really know what deal Trump is talking about, but if there is some level of agreement that gives the United States what he wants, it's enough to, first of all, get rid of the tariffs, which is the most important thing for us as investors. Whether we get whatever part of the deal we get or not, the tariffs are gone, which is the biggest thing. And then number two, if Trump gets to seem like he's won something in this deal, which is what he tries to get out of all these types of negotiations, then, I mean, that's what he's going to hang his hat on in terms of victory. But it looks like we've kind of just gone back to normal. There's like a little bit of a bump that we have to deal with, and then seems like that bump might not be as big anymore. Now, Trump did say this last night about Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada. Please let this letter serve to represent that the Board of Peace, which is his new United Nations competitor, is withdrawing its invitation to you regarding Canada's joining what will be the most prestigious board of leaders ever assembled at any time. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So Canada, unfortunately, our president has disinvited you from joining the Board of Peace. So yeah, that's what Trump had to say about the Board of Peace yesterday. I don't know what this Board of Peace is going to look like. I don't know if it can really compete with the United Nations. I also don't know, like, when Trump is not president anymore, what, is this thing even going to survive? But that's what he said yesterday. Green or red? We'll put the poll in the chat. What do we think we're getting today? I don't know, dude. It's a Friday. You got a ton of options that are expiring. We had really good macro data yesterday. I don't think we're getting anything important today. I could see us having a sell-off just because it's Friday and people are going to take their profits here. But the tariff thing is kind of resolved. Again, CPI, PCE wasn't bad. You've had pretty good earnings this week outside of a few companies. We get Michigan consumer sentiment. Oh, we actually get PMI. All right, so we get PMI at 10:45 and then, or 9:45, and then Michigan consumer sentiment at 10. That might affect the market, but that also might not matter too much. So we're going to see how we end out this third week of January. Broadcom right there. I don't know why Broadcom's getting hit, down 2.3. AMD is getting a lot of love right there, 2.6. AMD very close to those all-time highs. S&P 500, that's basically flat. Duolingo, that's flat. The Qs are down a little bit. Oh, Meta had a great day yesterday. Meta down about 1% pre-markets, but Threads monetization, plus also maybe there were just some gaps that needed to be filled, kind of allowed this one to run a nice 5.5%. But Meta from 600 to 640 yesterday, which is Nice to see for that one. VG and Zeta are green. Yeah, Zeta also had a really good. There's a great video. I'm not going to play it, but it's like 3 minutes on X. And it really shows their Athena product in action from an AI perspective. And it's pretty, I mean, there's a lot of people that just saw that video and was like, wow, like if Zeta can actually incorporate this into thousands of enterprises, there's no reason this can't be a very, very profitable business with great margins in the age of AI marketing. So I thought that example, they had like a town hall yesterday on it, which I thought was important. 2167, that's up 5.9%. AMD up 2.5, Tesla red, and then VG up 1% on the day. What even is Threads? I refuse to get another app. Dude, they have 400 million monthly users on Threads. The world is big. Nebius up a little bit in the pre-markets. The world is so big. Like, it's kind of crazy how big this world is, but and that's why tech products are so incredible, because tech products can scale to billions and billions of users. And, you know, that's where the network effects become incredible. But the fact that Threads just basically stole people from Instagram and Facebook, which Zuck's already owns, and put them on Threads and used them as their core user base, I mean, that was pretty incredible. Here's something that just came across my screen as well. This is the 2026 Wall Street Bets Index, the top 10 stocks for 2026 as chosen by the community of Wall Street Bets on Reddit. There were roughly 2,200 picks, the top 10 names that I'm seeing right here. I don't know if this is in order, but if it is, then this is the order. Number 1, ASTS. Number 2, Rocket Lab. Number 3, Google. Number 4, Amazon. Number 5, Nebius. Number 6, Reddit. Number 7, Micron. Number 8, Iren. Number 9, Tesla. Number 10, Palantir. So this is the 2026 Wall Street Bet Index for retail investors and the names that they are potentially betting on. All right, we got 3 minutes until the market opens. Can you talk about Japanese bonds jumping overnight, the highest ever? Japanese bonds have continued to jump over and over for the past couple of weeks. I mean, at this point, I think the market's a little bit immune to it. So look, we've talked about it over the past couple of days. It's not a good thing, but the only implication I think you can get from it, outside of like a pseudo yen carry trade, which based on the Bank of Japan not raising rates yesterday, I think is mitigated, is buy gold and silver. Now, I have not actively bought gold and silver because I'm a little scared, honestly, to buy gold. Like, if I'm not ready to hold it, if gold and silver tank on me, I have no one to blame but myself. I mean, you're buying an asset in silver that's up 5x in the past year. Commodities don't go up 5x in the past year. But if you believe it's a commodity super cycle, then you can't really care. But I just feel like the momentum is too strong on this. But I think the bonds being sold off means money's coming back into commodities that are like hard money that's not going to fail, which ends up being gold and silver. Someone says, I've been trimming silver. Yeah, dude, so whoever I'm buying silver from is selling it, and they're probably selling it after years of holding it. To me, that's buying. You know, it's like, I don't know. I feel like if I can find undervalued companies, I'd do better. Yeah, I don't want to be exit liquidity. It always sucks when you're exit liquidity. And all of us at some point have been exit liquidity. But the crazy thing is gold has outperformed the S&P 500 over the past decade based on this recent run that it's had. Which is crazy because the S&P has all these companies that are executing and putting up earnings and buying back their stock and this and that and all this stuff. And it's like gold is just gold. It's just there. And you could have taken a bet on that and that would have done better. So it is quite incredible to see it. Here's the headline on Canada. This weekend, Canada will be the coldest place on earth with temperatures getting as low as negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit in Ontario. So again, we talked about that winter storm. Everyone should be staying safe. It's going to be quite incredible to see this happen, but we are starting to get a lot more momentum on the storm. Last thing I want to show you guys right before we get into the market open, hedge funds inflows, 115 billion over the past year. This is the most since 2007. So not only did retail investors buy 2 billion worth of the S&P 500 alone 2 days ago, not only do institutional money managers have their lowest cash levels in history, hedge funds are getting the most amount of money in about 15 years. There is a lot of money coming into the markets. And as we enter earnings season going into next week, the question is, can we put up the earnings to justify all that money coming in? Here we go. Friday, January 23rd, 9:30 a.m. The stock market is now open. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Wake your asses up. S&P 500 opens red. Meta opens green. Meta's going for 650. Meta's going for 650, 648 right there. Wow, AMD. Look at her go. Look at her go. 4.7% on AMD. That's a hell of an open. And I think this is because Intel kind of crapped the bed on earnings. Intel is going down, 13% down about 1% from the pre-markets, 47.28 on Intel. VG, that's up 1.53%. Tesla goes flat. Microsoft goes green. S&P is flat. Broadcom getting bid up a little bit. Nvidia, nice little bounce, 188.50, fell to 186 in the pre-markets, was at 189 at the very top of the morning around 6 a.m., 188.76. Let's see if this one can break through the 190s for the day. Grab, that's up 0.5%. Bloom Energy, that's down 2%, 150 to 140. Bloom is down on the day. Palantir, that's green, 168, moving with Nvidia. Robinhood, that's green. Oscar, that's down 2%, 1535. Still no update on the Senate passing those subsidies for the ACA. ServiceNow, that's flat. ASTS, that's up 1.1%. ASTS took a little bit of a breather for a day, and now it's back basically into that 120 range. That is up on the day. Rocket Lab, same thing. This one came all the way from 82 to 87 yesterday. Now at 89, it just touched $90. These space names are absolutely incredible, and they are continuing their momentum. Fortinet right there, 83.83. Fortinet's actually up 7.5%. I don't know if they had earnings, but we'll check out. I don't think that, yeah, they did it on a Friday. But cybersecurity, for some reason, catching a bid. CrowdStrike, that one's a little flat. Intel down 14%, 46.65 on weak guidance for Q1. SoFi, 25.92. Don't know why SoFi's tanking, but it is. PayPal, 56.75. PayPal's also tanking. That means if the fintechs are going down, Robinhood might be next. Robinhood green, though, on the day. Planet Labs, that one's been incredible. That's up 1.8%. Rivian, that's down 0.5%. Duolingo, that's up 1%. Nubank hitting $18. That one's been incredible, as that one has hit a new all-time high. Amazon, 236.52, which is nice to see. Do you think Spotify at 500 is a buy? I don't like that Daniel Ek is not the CEO of Spotify anymore, and he's just the chairman. So, I don't know. That reason alone makes me think leadership is in a little bit of a mix-up at Spotify. But I like that the gross margins are improving. I think there's other semiconductor names, quite frankly, that have way better growth and honestly way better margins. Like Nvidia has better gross margins than Spotify, which is crazy because Spotify is a software company. But yeah, I feel like I'd rather bet on other AI names. SoFi right there, 25.95. Rocket Lab just went red, back to 88. Nebius gets hit 2.2% down. Is Iren getting hit as well? Iren is also getting hit, down 2.1%. ISRG, Intuitive Surgical, they had a great earnings. That's up 1.56%. Meta, did we pass 650? Wow, we have passed 650, 652. If you bought this at 600 just 3 days ago, you are here at 650 Dolores, which is not too bad. Grab getting a little bit of a candle as well, 1.2%. As that one going green. Intel still down 14. Zeta down half. AMD 262. It did hit 266.95. The 52-week high is 266.708. We can bust through 267, which let me check the resistance on that. Then AMD is going higher. American Airlines, why are they down 8%? Or no, that's Alcoa. AAL is the ticker for American Airlines. They had a good earnings. They were up 30% yesterday. They are one of the largest producers of alumina. Not sure why that one's down, but I guess maybe the street is upset about something else. Schlumberger had earnings today. SLB, oil and gas, that's up 4%. All right, so it looks like their earnings were not too bad, as that one is getting some more momentum. Zeta, that one goes flat. Skywater Tech, I know a lot of people have been talking about this one, down 8%. This is a semiconductor name that I believe is in the testing supply chain for chips. I might not be getting it exactly right, but it's had a hell of a year. I think it's up 100% this year already. That is another small cap that's been catching a bid, down 8% on the day. T1 Energy, they got hit from a short report. I started looking at these guys a little bit. $2 billion market cap, $800 million in revenue. It's kind of interesting, to be honest. I haven't looked at it too deeply, but I'm going to try to spend this weekend looking at this as an energy play. I know more people have been talking about it. The valuation doesn't seem that crazy, to be honest, compared to some of the other energy names. So this one might have something to look at. Fortinet, that's up 8%. Don't know why that one's pumping. This is one of the more known cyber security names. They got an upgrade to $100. Okay, from TD Co, and that's why that one's up. Nvidia lost 189 back to 187, up 1.5%. Meta still holding 650, but a little bit of a red candle right there. We are going to get PMI data in about 10 minutes, and we'll see how the market reacts to that. Epsilon is down 1%. Ondas, that's down 1.5. IGV, some of the software names are up. Figma's down 1%. What about Adobe? Adobe is red, 303, or sorry, green, as that one goes higher. What is the best way to buy silver and gold? I mean, I would just buy SLV or GLD, which are like the BlackRock funds for it, but that's not like actual physical silver and gold. So I mean, there's plenty of websites online that sell it. It's just you might have to pay a premium for it. But when I think about liquidity in these products, I think the ETFs, even if you're paying a little bit of an expense ratio, are worth the liquidity versus having to literally go sell your gold somewhere. But yeah, SLV or GLD are some of the ways to get access to it. Obviously, there's a lot of silver miners, gold miners that have exploded, and some of those aren't necessarily priced at the same spot price as silver and gold. Intel down 14% right here. This one's getting hit. But I think those ETFs do have better liquidity. How about copper? Is COPEX today 80? Oh, wow, look at that. 84.35, 2.58%. Copper continuing to run with silver. Oracle got downgraded to 213 from 320. Wow, 172. Seeing this is June 2025 prices for Oracle, which I would not I would not imagine we would see, but nonetheless, we are seeing it. 173 right here. And that's probably why Nebius and Iran are getting hit, because Oracle got a pretty nasty downgrade as well. Did you sell your Intel? No. We took a 100-share gamble yesterday. Literal pure gamble. And now we're community members. So we are down a nice $700 on our Intel. No, dude, I don't know. I mean, I'm just gonna leave it there. It's 100 shares. It's whatever. I mean, quite frankly, I'd actually be interested if Intel gets back to 35. That's the original price I wanted to buy it at. But thankfully, it wasn't 10,000 shares. So that's what we have on Intel. I told you not to. Dude, the people are saying I told you not to. There was like 80% more comments saying do it. You guys peer pressured me into it. You guys know I have a gambling problem. You know I have a gambling addiction. I said, guys, do we gamble on it? And the whole chat's like, do it. There's probably like 4 people that were smart enough to be like, dude, don't do that. Everyone else like, do it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. It didn't work. It went down. What are we supposed to do now? Now we're long-term. Who's the CEO of Intel, by the way? Like, what does Intel even do to me? They make chips, right? I think. All I know is Trump gave them a lot of money and told them to go be successful. By the way, I don't actually have a gambling addiction. I usually don't do that, dude. I don't do earnings plays because there's no upside. Like most of the time, you get screwed by the algo on some stupid piece of news. In this case, they beat earnings by 88% and they still got hit. And quite frankly, they probably deserve to get hit because the Q1 guidance wasn't the best, but the stock was also 50% year to date. So it was a pure gamble. That's why you don't do it. I was going to gamble on Netflix and I told myself not to, and that one ended up working out because Netflix got hit. 84.50 though. Netflix is green on the day. Who's buying Netflix, by the way? They are now trading at their lowest forward multiple in 3 years. Who's buying Netflix? You did Snap earnings. We did Snap earnings like 2023, right? This was a while ago. And I remember, I think I bought like 100 shares at like 787 or something. Maybe it was like 500 shares. And the fact that it's at 750 right now, 2 years later, is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I think we did do Snapchat like 2 years ago. Loading up on Netflix, buying Netflix. I'm buying. Not until 75. Okay, I guess a lot more people like Netflix. I don't like it here, dude. I want to see a lower price on this thing. But I also can't deny it's of the lowest level in 3 years on EV to EBITDA, forward price to earnings. Like, it's never been this cheap, quite frankly, in a while. Now, you may argue that Netflix is overvalued, but it's always been overvalued. So it's the cheapest overvalued version of Netflix that it's ever been. which means if you were going to take a nibble, I feel like you have to take a nibble here. Or you just have to be very disciplined to wait for $80. Netflix right there at $84. Wait for the Stranger Things hangover to end. Meta losing 650, Intuitive Surgical 539, SLB 5157, Nvidia 187.22. Archer, how is that one doing? Along with Joby, Archer's at 889. That's down 1.3%. Joby in 5 minutes we'll get PMI. Joby is at 1430. Will you buy Microsoft? You know, it's kind of crazy to, in my opinion, not be taking a stab at Microsoft here, even though I haven't. It's freaking Microsoft, 3.3 trillion. I understand the PE is a little bit more expensive than some of the other Mag 7s. Obviously, I think Meta is probably the better buy. The overhang on Microsoft continues to be OpenAI. They have a 30% stake in that company, and OpenAI is not being seen as the darling that it was before. Yesterday, a headline came out from The Information, and the Information headline was that OpenAI is now potentially thinking of taking a stake out of every company that uses its API for their intellectual property, which is kind of crazy because it means that if you try to build on top of their API, OpenAI now has access to your content, which is a bit ridiculous. And if the catch is, oh, we're going to reduce the token price for you, so you're more incentivized to use those over Gemini, then OpenAI is not going to be generating that much more revenue, which is very weird. It's just like a weird business model. And then on top of that, OpenAI just yesterday hired Gavin Newsom's chief of staff as its vice president of global policy. Now, they obviously made this decision, in my opinion, for a political reason. I don't think you go after Gavin Newsom's chief of staff for your VP of global policy. That's a very senior level position at one of the biggest AI companies on the planet. I mean, they might be trying to appeal to potentially a different administration in 2028. And so you have a lot of different conflicting narratives on OpenAI, and I continue to believe Anthropic just is the winner. But that affects Oracle, and that affects Broadcom, as they are the proxies for OpenAI. SoFi getting right back to 2026, up from 2550. What is your stance on Hood? I still love Hood, but I think they're losing the crypto revenue. And I think if Hood could just hold this multiple, that's what matters. I'm not worried about Hood expanding their multiple. They've already done incredibly well over the past couple of years. Some stocks take years where they take a breather. And I don't know if that's the year for Hood, but until crypto comes back, again, for those that don't understand Hood's business model, crypto is 37% of their revenues. If you lose that, and I don't mean lose that as it goes to zero, I mean you need to grow that every year. That's why it's a growth stock. If that stops growing, because crypto is dead right now, that's a hard part of it. I don't know if they can make up that revenue. And so I don't think they have to lose their multiple, but I don't know if the street's going to expand it to them. Also, I mean, let's just be honest. We've had a massive high beta rally, and Hood is supposed to be the home for all of these names that are engaging in high beta action. Rocket Lab, ASTS, Bloom Energy, etc. And Hood's flat. Like that to me is the market sending the signal saying we don't believe that Hood can make up the volumes in transaction revenue from options in crypto, or options and equities, based on them losing crypto. And as a result, I think that's why this ends up being flat. But I think this is the year for them to expand banking. If they can really build out the banking part of the wallet share ecosystem and just like get more users to do different things other than trading on the platform, that's where this starts to get a lot more exciting for 2027. Rubrik right there, that's up 1.49%. This one took a hit. I am interested in Rubrik, not enough to take a position yet, but this one's been hit from like 89 to 65. So it is one of the SaaS names along with Zeta that I do think is a bit more compelling versus like a Salesforce. 9:45. Okay, 1 minute. We're going to get this data. Let's see how the market reacts to it. I don't know if the market's going to care that much about PMI. S&P is still red. But maybe if this is like an explosive PMI number, then we'll see. Prediction markets will help, but their prediction markets will do maybe 85 million of revenue for them this quarter, maybe 100. And crypto was doing damn near 300 million of revenue. And you know, when prediction markets potentially fade out, when the sports cycle fades out, that could be what's problematic, in my opinion. So I think that's what we have to watch out for, Robinhood. Okay, PMI, let's pull it up. Let's see what we got. PMI, it's coming in right now. Okay, 52.8 versus 52.8 expected on the global composite PMI. That is a not a beat, but not a miss. 51.9 versus 52 on manufacturing, and services 52.5 versus 52.8. So you have three basically semi-beats. PMI 52.8, manufacturing 51.9, global services PMI 52.5. Okay. I guess that's decent. S&P getting a very small pump right there, 687 to 688.23. Kind of a nothing burger. Anticlimactic. Not that big of a deal. If there was a bigger miss on that, I think it would matter. If there was a bigger beat on that, that would matter. But those, I mean, they either beat or miss by like 0.2% there. So looks like that's not that going to be that big of a deal. Now, the consumer sentiment survey at 10 a.m., that might matter more. But that's also like 200 people they survey. So we're going to see how much that matters. Oracle still getting hit, 173 again. They got a downgrade this morning. Oracle not really getting some love. AMD 263. That's up 4%. Wow, Nebius 93, dude. This is all because of Oracle, by the way. Nebius, Iran, CoreWeave's probably down. This is Oracle is like the one that leads them. Look at CoreWeave. CoreWeave was $100 last week. It was $99 on Tuesday. It's at 87 today. Like there is zero headline on CoreWeave, Nebius, or Iran. Like zero. That should be causing that type of a volatile intra-week swing. Other than them following the leader of the data center space, which is Oracle, which I don't even know why they're pegged as the leader of this whole. I get they have the biggest contract with OpenAI, but like Nebius has a ton of contracts that aren't with OpenAI and should be successful even if OpenAI doesn't pay them anything. So it is all weird that they just algorithmically follow that level. Broadcom right there, 315. That is down 3%. Nate says I sold 78 puts for 2.6. Yeah, I imagine the premiums even at 78 are pretty good because of how volatile this is. Circle is under 70. Wow. 69.96. There's actually a clip of the Circle CEO at Davos speaking about where the world of crypto is going. Again, he's pretty bullish on it, but this stock was at $298 early last year.
The next generation of blockchain networks, things like Arc, which Circle's building on, there's other new blockchain networks, are actually being designed specifically for agentic compute. They're designed specifically for the financial and economic activity of a world where 3 years, 5 years from now, one, I think, can reasonably expect that there will be billions, literally billions of AI agents conducting economic activity in the world continuously on a continuous basis. They need an economic system. They need a financial system. They need a payment system. There is no other alternative, in my view, other than stablecoins to do that right now, and that can keep up with that pace of technological change. And so,
I mean, look, that should be bullish for the entire stablecoin ecosystem, especially if you have very, very high-level financial institutions converging on it, which is the ETH thesis. ETH getting hit 2,800. Oh boy, losing 2,900. BMNR potentially losing 28. Crypto continues to suck. Continues to suck. A lot of stocks going red too now. CoreWeave, Broadcom, Circle, Nebius, Oracle, Lunar, Reddit. Reddit's getting hit. Stock was at almost 240 last week. Celestica down another 3%. Lemonade, which has had a great week. Can't complain about Lemonade. It's up like 20% this week. ASML, that's down 1.6, also had a great year. The copper miners are up. FCX, Baidu, and Baba are down a little bit. OSS, that's down 7%. Some of these small caps getting hit. ARM down 3%. Google looks like it wants to go red. Visa and MasterCard. Wow, we're seeing a lot of sectors. Air Test Systems, that's down 5%. All the rare earth companies are down 7%, except USAR. Autodesk down, GameStop down. And then where is HIMS? HIMS is also down 1.3. Yeah, I didn't see why ANET pumped yesterday. I couldn't find a single headline on it. And I couldn't see why Celestica got hit either. Poet did a direct offering. They're down another 1.3. They were down 18% yesterday. Light is down 5% today. You know, people have been talking about this one. So we're starting to see it across the board. Bloom Energy is down. I mean, I guess the PMI is whatever. Street doesn't care. Zeta's up. Hood's actually up. And Microsoft's up. See, that's been the theme every single day for the past 22 days. It's like been random names that go up. Like, why is Zeta up today? Like, why is Hood pumping when Bitcoin's literally dumping? Like, some of this stuff makes no sense. But then the opposite will happen. Like, Nvidia should be pushing 190 today after this China news. Nope, back to 187. And I think that's just been the nature of this stock pickers market. Next is up. VG is up. Google's moving away from Celestica. Is that the headline? That's why they got hit. Why is Shopify? Yeah, I don't know why Shopify is getting hammered. Shopify is an expensive stock. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, 170 to 135, that feels a little aggressive right there. That's down another 2% today after being down 7% earlier in the week. Doesn't Hood make money on crypto trades up or down? Yes, but Hood needs a lot of activity. And the problem is if people aren't selling or buying, that's the issue. Very important to go back to go through their 2022 earnings decks and look at their crypto volumes and see the progression of it going down. Now, I don't think we're in a 2022 moment for crypto yet, but we are in a kind of very flat, like realistically, people are only trading crypto when we talk about retail, which is where Hood makes their money, when there's a lot of activity up. And usually when there's a lot of activity down, it's like a one-time thing and then it stabilizes. But if it doesn't V-shape, then you don't get the buyers to come back in. So maybe Hood will make money on a couple of days of downswing momentum. But if that downswing doesn't get to an upswing, then people just say, all right, I'm not touching it until I see a move. Q4 of 2024, when Bitcoin hit 100,000, that's when Hood made a lot of money because everyone was trading it. And that's why Hood, continues to get a multiple. But you also have to understand the opposite of what happens if that's the case. Which is why I'm just happy that Hood's holding its multiple. Same thing with Palantir. Like these names just holding their multiple to me matters more than expanding it every single year. Palantir right there, 168.24. That one has earnings on February 2nd as well. Broadcom 316, that's down, lows of the day. Open Door, we haven't looked at this. Does anyone care about Open Door anymore? Like, does anyone actually care about this? Open Door down 4.2%. Is there still a thriving community on this thing? Because I don't think people talk about this anymore. Like, it was hot for a couple minutes. Now I don't think people care. Ethereum 29, Bitmine 2830, Nebius 94. Trying to get a little rebound. What do you think about Samsara? I've heard of this one, IoT. I have not done enough due diligence on this one. $18 billion market cap. I've heard of it, talked about a couple times. This one and Rubrik, I would have to spend some time to actually take a look at in terms of how this one's playing out. Where is Apple? Apple had some updates yesterday. Apple, wow, 245. Again, Friday shenanigans. Apple down 1% here. There was some news yesterday that Tim Cook is getting ready to pick his next CEO. And although the guy is not officially the CEO, basically Tim Cook has been handing him a bunch of these different responsibilities. The Wall Street Journal reported that would make him essentially get ready to take over that role within a year or two max. So it does look like we will have a new person in charge of Apple pretty soon. And it will be a new era for Apple. And what's his name? Tim Cook accomplish? I think the biggest thing since 2011, is, getting the market cap to get to almost 4 trillion. But in terms of products, I think it's the AirPods. I think in his tenure, AirPods were the mega hit product. It wasn't the Vision Pro. Updates to the laptops and the iPhones were decent, but like it wasn't anything game changing. It was the AirPods. That was the one product that he ended up convincing everyone to pay $200 for. Yeah, EPS expansion, I guess you could say, is Tim's main product. And the story with Tim Cook is when the stock was struggling in 2013, he had a dinner with Carl Icahn, and he was just like, what can we do to get the stock up? And Carl Icahn was like, buy it back. And that's when Tim Cook decided, All right. I guess like Steve Jobs, from my understanding, never bought back the stock. Steve Jobs thought about like the future. Tim Cook was like, we have a lot of cash. We just buy this sucker back. Stock's going to go up. And since then, they have bought $700 billion worth of stock. Oh, yeah, the Apple Watch. Yeah, that's fair. The Apple Watch. That's probably even more important than the AirPod, to be honest. Yeah, they had their own chips. That's also fair. They got off Intel, the M1, M2, M3 chips. That's important as well. Watch, chips, and AirPods, I guess you could say, were the three biggest things. Okay, in about 5 minutes, we'll get consumer sentiment data. S&P basically flat. Zeta making a little bit of a run. Same thing with Rubrik. Same thing with Hoodie and Microsoft. Microsoft got an upgrade again to that 630 level from KeyBank. We got some clips of Besant. Let's pull that up right here and see some of the things that he is saying. Wow, this is a headline. Besant pushes for Albertan independence from Canada.
In the U.S., more than our northern neighbor.
That's even with all the oil and the natural resources coming out of Canada. Texas is still larger.
Well, look, Alberta is a wealth of natural resources, but they won't let them build a pipeline to the Pacific. I think we should let them come down into the U.S., and Alberta is a natural partner for the U.S. They have great resources. The Albertans are very independent people. Rumored that they may have a referendum on whether they want to stay in Canada or not.
Sounds like you may know something up there.
Look, people are saying people
are talking.
People are talking.
I don't know if that's that might be a little bit of a stretch, but maybe Besant knows something that we don't. Tesla right there tried to push 450, touched it, 450.50. Is not breaking through that level. Yeah, I don't think Alberta is separating from Canada. 448 right there. We got 3 minutes. We'll see if we get this consumer data and see what happens. Palantir is one of the stocks that's green. Nvidia, a little green. Everything else, though, just a kind of ugly Friday. Not like 3, 4, 5% down, but a lot of sectors just go red. Let me pull up the heat map as well. Let's see what this looks like. Tech relatively red outside of Nvidia, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. Everything else you're seeing go red. Enphase, this one got a pump yesterday. It gets another pump today, 4.8%. Elon did talk about solar panels and the necessity for more energy in his Davos talk. Did you sell Intel? No. I'm just holding on. It's 100 shares. We're leaving it be. But you know, maybe Enphase and the solar ecosystem, they did get an upgrade, I think, to $45 by one of the, what do you call it, by one of the big banks. And that's another reason they're getting probably some more momentum. I just don't know if solar is the bet, dude. I feel like solar will suck you in, but like, is it really going to be the bet for energy in this administration? First, solar right there, 1.23%. Also, if gas prices continue to come down, which I know nat gas prices have been up a lot this week, especially before the winter storm, like the incentive to bring on solar into a residential neighborhood, it's tough if gas prices are relatively low. People will just continue to do what they're doing. So that might be the natural headwind for them. Micron, wow, 400. There's your move in memory. Breaking. Trump signs executive order to buy the dip on Intel. That's hilarious. Micron 4. Is this the first time? I think this is the first time we got 400. We had a freaking executive buy this at 337 a week ago. And all of us looked at it knowing why executives buy stocks, especially insiders. And still some of us didn't buy, including myself, because that momentum just felt too strong. Micron right here, that momentum continues. $403 on the day, up 1.56%. SanDisk pumping now, but still down 3% on the day. Unbelievable, dude. Memory continues to be in a super cycle. And see, this is the part that I think is annoying a lot of people. It's like, why is the memory stocks running when the reason for the demand is because of Nvidia, but Nvidia can barely catch a bit. But Micron's still cheap. That forward PE is under freaking 15, which is not crazy. All right, consumer sentiment data. Let's see what we got. Okay, Michigan consumer sentiment 56.4 versus 54. That's a beat. That's good. 3 or 5 year inflation expectations 3.3 versus 3.4. That's a beat. That's good. Final consumer expectations 57 versus 55. That's also good. Current conditions 55.4 versus 52.4. That's good. Inflation expectations 4% versus 4.2%. That is also good. You've got pretty much all the consumers inside of that Michigan survey basically saying things are better than what the surveys predicted they would say in regards to sentiment and then in regards to inflation. Now, again, there's only a couple people that really get surveyed for. It's like 250 people. But S&P is starting to go green. It's like 10 cents away from breaking green. Let's get a little bit more of an update on this as well.
6.4 is our headline. We're expecting 54, a big beat. This will be the best level since August of last year. And if we look at current conditions, also 55.4, a big beat versus 52 and change we were looking for. Also sequentially higher, best level since October of last year. What lies ahead are expectations. Same scenario, 57, 2 points higher than expected, 2 points higher in the rearview mirror, best since July of last year. Now the inflation metrics. On the 1 year inflation, 4.0%. That's down from 4.2%, and that would be the lowest level going all the way back to January of last year. And finally, the 5 to 10 year inflation outlook, 3.3, light to expectations, 1/10 lighter than our last look at 3.4, and that would be the lowest level since Dece of last year when it was 3.2%. Leading economic indicators should be hitting the wires. I don't see them released. We're looking for both October and November. So I'll shoot it back to you, Carl.
It's good numbers. It's good numbers. S&P, there she goes green. Micron, all-time highs 405. Tesla, 450. Palantir going for 170. Nvidia, still kind of stuck below 188. Ethereum, a little bit of a pump. Circle back above 70. Broadcom still getting hit. CoreWeave, Nebius, relatively small pump, but they're trying. Zeta up to hoodie just below 108, and then Bitcoin not really moving. But the broader S&P getting some love. All right, not bad. At least we got some numbers there that the market can resonate with. Where is Meta? Wow, no, Meta's the winner today. Look at that, almost 660 on Meta. Dude, that's a hell of a rebound from 600 to 658. This, I would say, is this and AMD are probably two of the best. And ironically, Meta buys a lot of chips from AMD. AMD right there, 263. You think Zeta's still a buy here? I think Zeta is close to a $28 stock after earnings. I really do. Now, again, they're a small cap. It's speculative. They're going to have to put up numbers, but they're going to be profitable for the first time. They're going to beat and raise again. Like, I think guidance is going to go even high. I think this, I don't see this one tanking on this one. I really don't think tanks on earnings, and maybe I'll be wrong, but maybe it doesn't go all the way up to 28, but fair value for this is closer to 35. It does not have a multiple, but there might be a reason it doesn't have a multiple. Maybe the market doesn't want to give marketing advertising plays a hefty multiple. So I think it's going to crush. I think it's undervalued, but the good thing is it's barely broken below 20. It's created a real good base around this 20 to 23 range. So you have a lot of buyers stepping in on these levels. I have not been DCAing into OSS. I needed to go below $10 for me to get interested in that because my entry was below 10. So if it goes below 10, I mean, if we could get 7 or 8 on OSS again, that would be fantastic. But it's been stubborn, dude. It's been really stubborn. Like the lowest it's got to, I think, was like 10.05. And it just kept hitting higher. Iran just went green. Okay, starting to see some of the data center plays come up, 52.50. Again, inflation uncertainty down from the consumer. Those numbers like 4 months ago were like 8%. You guys remember when the Michigan consumer sentiment was that inflation in 5 years would be 8%? And if that's the case, people are going to be more careful with buying products. So it's good that number has come down pretty substantially. Disney expecting a new CEO in early 2026. Disney right there, 111.57. Disney's also been a stock that I cannot stomach to own. I just don't understand the moat or why people are excited about this name compared to all the other tech names that are out there. Oh, did gold? No, we didn't touch 5,000 yet. Maybe some brokerages are showing, or some platforms are showing spot 5,000. It's getting real close though. Really freaking close right here. Gold 49.50. Why does Broadcom feel like a falling knife? Because it has been a falling knife for the past 2 months, but I don't know why it's down today. Like I see zero headlines on ASICs. The only argument is, but the CEO Hock Tan already said in December that OpenAI is not going to give them $1 of revenue this year, 2026, and the stock already got hit for that last month or 2 months ago. So I don't know why this one continues to get hit. Yeah, the PE has come down though. Like I get the PE is high, but Broadcom has been re-rated towards the downside. I don't understand. Dude, year to date down 10%. Past month, it's down almost 20%. Past 5 days, it's down 9%. It is a little weird. But I think long-term, Broadcom should be good. Meta's still moving higher. There you go, 659, trying to break 660. Even Tesla, every time tries to get to 450, is not able to get there. AMD, did we hit all-time highs? No, not yet. 267. We are not at all-time highs yet on AMD. Zeta 2220, S&P 689, VG trying to make a move up to 10 Dolores. JP Morgan's not down 10%. What are we? JP Morgan's down 1.15%. Dude, if JP freaking Morgan was down 10%, this is the biggest bank in the world. It can't go down 10% that easily. That's the cool thing about certain stocks when they get super big. They're just like not allowed to go down or up that easily. But it's cooler when you analyze it from the downside. It's like they're too important to go down. Like if JP Morgan fell 10% this year, okay, yeah, this year you're right. JP Morgan this year is down by 8% this year. If JP Morgan were to go down 10% in a day, that'd be 80 billion in market cap. We'd be questioning what's going on with the banks. But also JP Morgan was up 40% last year, so one could argue it's taking a breather. Amcor right there down 3.5. That one's getting hit with Intel. Dude, so all right, put in the chat for those that own SoFi. What is your price prediction for Friday next week on earnings? I'm going 29.87. That's my price. I think it closes the day at 29.87. I want to say 30, but then again, it's SoFi. I think they're going to stop her at 29.87. And if they do, I'll still be happy. That's still a pretty big gain. Micron 406. Wow, a lot of you guys saying 30, bro. A lot of you guys are bullish. I want to say 30, but I don't think they easily give us 30, even though it should. 23, dude, if SoFi tanks to 23, oh my gosh, dude. I can't even imagine that happening. I mean, I could, but that would not be fun for SoFi, especially after everything it's went through. Seeing another headline right here. Airlines cancel hundreds of flights as massive winter storm sweeps across the Midwest. Yeah, I didn't even think about the flights that are likely getting canceled this week or this weekend because of this winter storm. I mean, it's going to be pretty ugly if the levels of snow that people are saying we're going to get, we actually get. 31 during the week, but 26 on earnings. If we run up to 31 before earnings, that would be quite a move. Quite a move. Imagine if you didn't push the meetup back 1 week. That's true. The meetup was supposed to be this week. That's true. It's supposed to be January 25th. You know the reason we did that, right? The reason we did that is because there's some football game going on Sunday. And so we were like, oh, yeah, we should do it the week where there's not a major. It's like the AFC Championship or something. Who's playing this weekend? That's why we did it, which ended up, I guess, being a good call. Patriots and Broncos. I got the Patriots. I'm going with Drake May. I got the Patriots. And then I think the Seahawks will win the other one. VG, that's up 4.2. VG is 4.2. Are the meetups awkward? Yes. We all just sit by ourselves in little corners and look at candlesticks during the meetups. It's incredibly awkward. No, it's actually really fun. I can understand the perception of how it's awkward. I mean, dude, the first meetup I went to that I planned in New York at some random bar, I had no idea what to expect. I was like, dude, I don't know these people. This is gonna be weird. Everyone's a stranger. And within minutes, it became a party. It really is a fun time because everyone cares about investing and none of us have people to talk about it with. So, you just start talking. And so I think it'll be fun. And for those that have ever been to a meetup, hopefully you've enjoyed it. We got LA after New York, which should be fun. Yeah, Bsov was there. He was like, so I'm a Mitch. That's how you started the New York City meetup. But it was kind of weird, right? Because you're just like meeting random people for the first time. They know you, but you don't know them. But you just break the ice really quick because you all have something in common, which is that you actually care about financial freedom and the markets, and that's what makes it fun. VG right there, 4.3, AMD up 4, then Micron still holding $400. Also, I mean, I'm a funny guy, so it's really easy to break the ice when you can make jokes and make people laugh. I mean, Bsov, tell them I'm funny. You were there, Bsov. It was funny. So hopefully I'll be funny at this one as well. Is Tom Lee coming? I need to talk to him. Oh my gosh, bro. Could you imagine if Tom Lee was there, dude? Oh man. I think if I really pulled in a favor, he might be able to pull up to one of the meetups. But I'm kind of scared if he shows up what people are gonna say. Hey Tom. Because look, you can talk shit about it online, but in person, it's you can't be like, hey Tom, I'm back holding your BMNR. That's just awkward to say in front of somebody. I feel like you can't. Now, if BMNR was up, you could be like, Tom, I bought BMNR, it's up. But if it's down, it's you can't really. It's a little awkward. Just not good manners. Even though you might want to have a word with them. But Wong says, I'll say it. Oh my gosh. Just a friendly chat. Yeah. AMD right there, 263. We don't have a link for the LA meetup yet. We'll probably have the next week. I'll put the link for the New York meetup in the chat. But that one will be next week. All right, what else? The alchemy of 50% losses. That's crazy, bro. That's actually crazy. The alchemy of 50% losses is actually crazy. Okay, what other macro stuff do we have? What else? I don't think we have any crazy news. Tesla 447, Meta 658. Netflix co-chief executive says, without Larry Ellison independently financing this thing, there's no chance in hell Paramount would ever be able to pull this off. So you got Netflix taking some shots at Larry Ellison. Netflix right there, 85.27. Actually a good rebound from earnings. It fell from 88 to 81. Now it's at 85. Getting a little bit of a move right there. VG, that one's still moving. Spot silver, I'm looking at 99.84. For some people, you're probably looking at 100. So let's just call it 100 basically. It has touched 100. Broadcom still down 3. Meta pushed through 661, then got hit. Grab at 460. Spotify's up 3%. Spotify actually got upgraded today. That's why they were up. Rocket Lab, Intel still down 15. Rocket Lab 88.32. Spain will not join Trump's board of peace, the prime minister says. Okay, so now Spain and Canada have, well, Canada was disinvited. Spain has rejected joining the board of peace. Microsoft, nice little 3% move right there. On Microsoft, which has been stuck all week. Where's Amazon? We had almost 240. Amazon, 237. Trying to push 240. U.S. issues fresh Iran-related sanctions. Okay, so they issued more sanctions last week. Looks like we have some more today. Amazon right there, 237. Amit, how did you get in contact with A16Z? I just messaged one of the partners on X. He was following me, so that helped. And then I just asked him if I could be a scout. And then we got a meeting, and then they said yes. I have a lot of pitch decks to go through, by the way. Again, if you have an idea, I am scouting for A16Z, which is a VC fund in Silicon Valley. So Amit at akcoms.com. I think I have like 80 pitch decks that I have to go through over the next week. And so start setting up some of those meetings. Let's see what we can get. Should be fun though. It's really cool because you're exploring a lot of different ideas at the earliest stages. I feel like it's just like an intellectually stimulating practice to see how to dissect a certain idea. Tesla right there losing some momentum. AMD still pumping 263. Tesla 446. How did you find out the scout thing exists? There was a random day in November where I just remembered the story of Jason Calacanis scouting for Sequoia when he was basically my age. And that's how he found Uber. And the rest is history. You know, once you find that one. And then, dude, people don't give Jay Cal enough credit. He found Uber at a $5 million valuation, turned 25,000 into 115 million. And then he found Robinhood. That's, dude, if you can find Uber and Robinhood at their early stages, you're good. Like, you've become a legend in the VC world. Because people go their whole lives without finding one of those stocks or anything even 1/100th as good as those stocks. So I just remembered and I was like, hey, why don't I ask A16Z? Especially because A16Z actually embraces new media. Like, they put out so much content and podcasts, and like they like actually like engaging with the new way people consume content. So that's why I thought I would ask. Silver right there on JM Bullion, 99.96. It was 100 just a second ago. But there you go. That's your official spot price, basically at 100. Also, we have Mr. Derek Wall in the chat. That definitely helped me get the idea, because he got me into some private markets back in 2024. Like, I never thought I would do private investments, but Derek is literally the greatest person of all time, and I love him so much. And he got me into a couple of them. One was Eptronic, and then one was Figure. And that helped me think a little bit more deeply about the private ecosystem. This is what I shared yesterday. Showed you guys this a while ago, but this is Eptronic. So this was up 12x now. So 10,000 to 125. Google, big stake in Eptronic. So I think that's another way to get exposure to it. But Google's going to be fighting in the humanoid robotic space with Gemini Robotics to make it a real thing. Again, I was on the phone with Derek. He's like, just put in $1,000. Like, put in something into this deal. This thing was 250 million market cap. They were doing a bridge seed round. I don't even know what a bridge seed round was, dude. Like, I had no idea. All I knew was like humanoids. Derek says put some money in. I was like, all right, I will find $10,000 from somewhere and put it in. That's another reason I don't want to sell stocks to buy a property. I'm like, dude, if I'm going to sell something to buy a property, it's going to be like Eptronic. in 4 or 5 years when they go public, if they go public, hopefully. Like, that's what I would sell. I don't want to sell my hood to buy a house. Like, I would sell something in the private markets if we're going to diversify to real estate. Schwab has an open director role for equity plans for private issues. Dude, I think the private markets are becoming too important for Schwab, Fidelity, Hood to ignore them. Like, there's just too many people that want access to these deals. Now, not every deal is good, which is why historically these deals have been relegated for, like, quote unquote accredited investors. Like, it is a stupid bureaucratic rule, but it's also, most of these startups fail. Like, that 10,000 could have easily gone to zero. And I'm very sure throughout the course of my career, I will put 10,000 into a company that goes to zero. Like, it is almost guaranteed to happen. But the one that works really freaking works. And that 10,000 might be worth like 5 million one day if Aptronic becomes a multi-$100 billion company. But there's too much appetite for this. And I think a lot of the brokerages are going to realize there's a big business they can make out of just offering this stuff. I mean, that's the whole concept of tokenizing private shares, which is what Vlad is trying to do with Robinhood as well. Yeah, and companies are staying private for longer. That's also true. Like, the people who bet on Stripe 11 years ago, I mean, my goodness, the returns they've made. This is why I'm not buying Stripe when they IPO, dude. I'm not going to be X liquidity for some VC who bought this thing at freaking $10 million and they IPO at 90 billion. It's like, my upside is from 90 billion, not from 10 million. And so that's why we got to see eventually how these companies allow this to happen. Borrow against your Hood shares to buy the house. Dude, as soon as I do that, Hood's going to tank. And I'll be like, oh, so about that down payment. That's the thing. When you borrow against your assets, you better hope those assets don't get hit. This is why people love borrowing against property, because, you know, property tends to not be as volatile as the stock market. But if you take a margin loan against your Zeta and then Zeta tanks, you kind of got to pay the money back. But yeah, I think eventually we'll sell some of the private names for a house. VG, this one's still moving. Again, speaking of Mr. Derek Wall, he loaded up pretty heavy on VG at $6. He has a lot of shares. And so this one from 6 to 9, already a 40% move. I mean, I think that's why it's not breaking over 10, because Chris was saying this yesterday, a lot of people are also going to take some profits here. But winning the arbitration case was really important in order to get this one moving. Micron, my goodness, 411. When I asked you guys before Micron earnings if I should buy Micron, I need everyone to say no. Because yesterday, everyone said yes for Intel. I need everyone to say no, because I'm going to ask you guys. And if you guys say yes, and then Micron tanks, which it's going to tank, because why wouldn't it tank? It's up like 50%. But then again, it's probably not going to tank because it's Micron. And we have a ridiculous shortage of memory. Dude, like, in the computer space, memory price, people have been keeping up with it. RAM, DRAM, like, these prices have just been, I mean, there's starting to become a bit of a shortage in the computer space. And if that happens, Micron has all the leverage, like all the leverage, along with Samsung and SK Hynix. And SK Hynix probably would have a better stock price year to date if they were listed on American exchanges, because I think plenty of American investors would want to use them as a proxy with Micron. Yeah, RAM is nuts, right? For those that have actually looked at either building their own computer, or you just like, you kind of you keep track of these prices, it is getting a bit insane. And that's why SanDisk, Micron, Western Digital, they get the premium they're getting. SanDisk breaking $500 right there, 504.70. And yeah, and everything needs memory, which is why, you know, we're talking about Aptronic becoming a $50 billion company. Well, that the humanoid robots are also going to need memory to be able to talk to people. Like, that might be a super cycle that lasts for a long time. And it makes sense, the story, but it just feels like the momentum buying into it. This is why I made the comparison with Nvidia yesterday. It wasn't my comparison. I was quoting someone else, but like, what if Micron is Nvidia at $400 billion back in May of 2023? Not to say Micron's going to be a $4 trillion company, but what if it's one of those names that is just going to go higher? Because everyone thought Nvidia was cyclical, and then they just kept putting up better numbers for the past 2.5 years. They're still doing it because GPU demand continues to be strong. If that's the same with memory, and maybe that happens for Micron. Finn says I bought 1,000 shares of Micron at 84. Wow, congratulations, dude. That's amazing. So hold on, you bought 1,000 shares at 84, so you spent 84,000. Wow, you have 410 minus 84. You're sitting on 320 grand of gains. See, where else can you do that other than the stock market? Where else can you do that? Take an $84,000 bet. When was Micron 84? You have to do that like a year ago, right? Micron was freaking 84 in May, not even a year ago. I don't know if you bought it at that time, but in a year, 80 grand to 410 grand. I mean, it's the greatest show on earth. The greatest freaking show on earth. You can do that with drug dealing. Okay, maybe you can do that with drug dealing. It feels like Micron's selling drugs and the drugs are just memory at this point. Like, it's unbelievable. I mean, again, they raised earnings guidance by 100%. The only company that's done that in the semiconductor ecosystem is Nvidia. AMD's never done that. Broadcom's never done that. Nvidia is the only name that's done that. Feels almost illegal. It does, right? I mean, there are some days where you see the gains on your portfolio on a mega green day and you're like, this is kind of like, all I did was just sit back and press a couple buttons and then boom. It's up 50,000 a day, 10,000 a day. It's crazy. But, you know, that's also the beauty of the markets. I was talking about this with Steve last night. You know, this is kind of like a non sequitur, but I do feel like if you're privileged enough to see gains in the market because you took a bet with some capital, it's important to give back a little bit. It's really important to give back and just, you know, in whatever way you can. I have my own way of giving back, but a lot of people don't have the privilege to just press a couple buttons. Now, you took the risk, you deserve it, but to just see it go up thousands and thousands of dollars a day, I'm taking a little bit, giving it back to someone less fortunate, it's important. It's important to spread the blessings around, especially since so many people either A, don't know about the stock market, or B, don't have the capital to make a Micron at $84 type of a bet. Microsoft 462, that's up 2.5, and then Amazon at 237 as well. I gave it back to BM&R. Oh my gosh. Triple V, thank you for the $200 super chat. Appreciate you being here. And thank you for being part of the channel. Triple V and Derek also have a pretty big stake in Uptronic. I think they put in $1 million. So at this point, it's got to be worth 12, 15 million. They might have gotten earlier than me. They also have a really big stake in Figure. Figure is the one that I think could be the $1 trillion company. We got to see if Brett can take us to the promised land. But if Figure can take us there, that would be exciting. That would be exciting. Hold on. Triple V just texted me. He said, I thought I bought 2,500 $55 Intel calls expiring tomorrow, but they never filled. Wow. Talk about dodging a bullet, bro. Dodging a freaking bullet. Oh my goodness. He almost gambled like me yesterday. He said, I put in an order for 2,500 $55 Intel calls expiring tomorrow, but never filled. How much would that have been lost? How much were the Intel 55s trading for yesterday? Intel 55s expiring today. Obviously, they're worth 0 right now. Yesterday, they were worth yesterday at market close is when he would have got. They were worth $2.25. So 225 times 2,500. Yeah, he just escaped a $562,000 loss. Well, I didn't escape my $700 loss, but I'm happy he escaped that. Zeta right there, 2218, S&P 689 is Intel continues to get hit, down 15%. Robinhood bad fills the rest. I don't know if he used Hood or if he used a different broker, but whatever the crappy fills on whatever platform is what saved that bullet. That's crazy, bro. Intel really screwed a lot. And the call option volume was crazy. I mean, people really thought this was going to 60. Like, they just thought momentum was on its side. All right, what else? What else do we freaking have? Someone said I sold Micron in 88 in February last year. It's the beauty of the markets, right? Someone buys it, someone sells. That's what makes a market. Silver still moving. AMD 264. We're not really getting a trend today, dude. Everything's just kind of wishy-washy. S&P barely up. I'm surprised you never speak on Roblox. Dude, the problem with Roblox is they have this narrative, which is backed by some real facts, around predators on the platform for children. Like, I kind of just don't want to be associated with a name like that. Like, I really don't. And it's come up too many times at this point for me to be like, okay, is it cheap? Yeah, kind of, even though they're not profitable. So it's like, that's also not that exciting. Do they have a moat? Yes, they have like 80 million kids that use it every day. But then it's like, all right, there's this overhang that I don't really like on the stock. And it's like, there's plenty of other opportunities than having to bet on that. And the management comes out almost every month and says, it's not true, this, that. But these reports keep coming out. And it's like, at some point, like, I don't think it's a short seller trying to get the stock to be down. It's like, there might be some legit problems on a platform that's supposed to be really safe. So I don't know. I think they have to figure that stuff out. Rocket Lab, are we moving? Yep, 90. Back to 90. It's an unfair narrative. Facebook, other social struggle. Okay, yes, every social media platform has predators and stuff like that, but Roblox is literally just for kids. So there will be a hyper level of focus on the intensity of things that happen on a platform where do people even older than 15 use it? Like, it's literally a platform for kids. There's no 25-year-old playing games on Roblox. So I think management's done a pretty bad job in navigating and dealing with those problems. But nonetheless, multiple is depressed and stock's down from 140 over the past 2 months. Why is Roblox just for kids? I mean, that's what they built the platform for. They didn't build the platform for 30-year-old guys to play games. That's more like Xbox and all that stuff. Like, it's just different demographic that plays games on those platforms. HIM's right there. That's down 0.36%. Sam Altman is planning to visit India in mid-February, as per TechCrunch. See, I don't think OpenAI is going to win in India, because if anyone's been to India, the number one tech company, does anyone know the number one tech company that owns India? That really has a stranglehold on India? I think that is going to be the company that ends up winning. Correct. It is Google. It's not Facebook. It's not Microsoft. It's Google. Dude, Google has half the population on YouTube every day. 450 million users. Like, it is insane. Gmail, search. I mean, I think Gemini is going to be the winner. I mean, everyone's already on YouTube. The YouTube Indian ecosystem of the vloggers, the people, and it's easy to get views in India because there's so many people. Now, the views, the dollar per view, or the monetization per view is a lot cheaper. Like, an Indian view is not worth as much as an American view, but people have hundreds of millions of subscribers in India because there's just such a big ecosystem. So I think that integrated with Gemini is gonna be how they win AI over ChatGPT, to be honest. WhatsApp is a big deal, but I don't know if WhatsApp AI is going to be like the dominant AI assistant in India, even though it has a shot to be, because WhatsApp is big in India. But YouTube and Google is like every person's house that I go to, it's like the number one thing that gets on the TV is YouTube. YouTube has all their Indian soap operas, like everything is on YouTube. So I think that's your easy play for Gemini to be integrated. Amazon right there, 237. As that one goes green. Tesla, are we still red? Tesla, we are red, 446. 446. Yeah, the OpenAI CFO said yesterday they plan to take a slice of scientific discoveries found by AI. That's crazy, bro, for them to say that. It pops up on everyone's YouTube feed. Dude, I wish. India is competitive for YouTube. Competitive. There's tons of Indian stock market YouTube channels like myself that just tailor to the Indian markets. Yeah, T-Series. Oh, T-Series. One of the second most subscribed channel in the world outside of Mr. Beast is T-Series. And it's literally Indian music. 309 million subscribers. Mr. Beast is the only one ahead of them. So I think Google's going to dominate AI in India more than ChatGPT. Or even Meta. Microsoft does have a lot of Indian employees, though. Yeah, in Bangalore, they have a lot of Indian employees. Are you adding to SoFi here? No, I have too much SoFi, dude. If anything on earnings, I need to sell some of my SoFi. I have way too much SoFi at 27. So it's like stocks at 25. But the covered calls have been good on it. The covered calls have been amazing on it because SoFi doesn't do anything. If we below 24.50, I think I'd be more interested to add. Let's get an update from China and kind of see what's going on there, especially with TikTok and Oracle.
Our Eunice Yoon joins us now from Beijing with more. The day has finally come, Eunice.
That's right, Carl. It's been several years. TikTok and its Chinese parent ByteDance say that this U.S. entity is in line with President Trump's executive order back in September. So this entity is majority American owned. It has 3 managing investors. That includes Oracle, Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi's MGX. Each has a 15% stake. And the 7-person board is dominated by Americans. And then Oracle is going to be the safeguard for U.S. data. So the entity is meant to address longstanding U.S. National security concerns that Beijing could have influence over the U.S. app as well as the data of American citizens. That had led Congress to pass the law that would have seen the app possibly banned unless China's ByteDance sold TikTok. President Trump posted on Truth Social that this was a beautiful conclusion. He went on to say, I would also like to thank President Xi of China for working with us and ultimately approving the deal. Now, it's still unclear if this deal will quiet the critics in the national security community. The law says that ByteDance can have no operational relationship with U.S. TikTok. And ByteDance does maintain some influence. It still has a 19.9% stake.
So Oracle now gets to control the TikTok algo, and Larry Ellison still wants Warner Brothers. So it seems like Ellison's going heavy for a lot of media control. It's just, I don't think they're beating Netflix to get this thing, but they definitely did bid out every other competitor to get control of the TikTok algorithm. 90.69 on Rocket Lab, back into the $90 level. Germany's MERS says on the board of peace, we'd be ready to join for the sake of Gaza, but we cannot accept the plan as it is. Trump did introduce a bunch of different plans over the weekend or over the Davos summit. I mean, so far, I think Saudi Arabia and Russia has agreed to join the board of peace, which I don't know if Trump only wants those types of countries. I think he wants more of the democratic nations to join. But he's not getting that many people to join yet. Nebius is getting a move. 94 to 96. Is Oracle moving? Oracle's almost recovering. Did we get some data center news? Oracle almost back to even. Iran, 5%. There's got to be some data center news. Or maybe they're all following Microsoft. I don't know. That's weird. Rocket Lab up on an MTO contract update from NASA. Oh, the TikTok news? That's kind of from yesterday. That's not. Oracle back to normal is pretty damn good. This is pushing almost below 170 at some point. 40% of Roblox users are 18 plus. All right, well, 60% are below 18. I mean, that's where all the controversies come out when it comes to this predator stuff. I don't know, dude. I just don't feel comfortable owning a stock like that. Even if the stock goes up, I'd rather wait for them to kind of really fix those issues before getting super into it. Circle right there. That one's also recovering a little bit. CoreWeave, 3%. You're seeing a lot of the data center names just shift almost instantaneously. Silver still moving. Robinhood's getting a little pump today. We haven't seen 110 on Robinhood in so long, dude. Even getting above 110 is hard. Spalding County approved a $4 billion data center near Atlanta. Okay, I don't know if that's enough data center news to get Oracle back to green, but you do have more data center updates. I don't know, maybe that's it. Tesla right there is still flat. SoFi still getting hit. S&P trying to break to 690. Also in that India conference, by the way, Anthropic CEO is going to be there. Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani is going to be there. Sundar Pichai. Oh, so it's not just Sam Altman. It's everybody. Jensen's going to be there. This is February 16th to February 20th. Okay, so all the big dogs are rolling into New Delhi to talk AI. U.S. AI data centers will supply backup generators to stabilize the energy grid. This actually makes sense. Particularly this weekend, there was a bunch of different headlines around generators that would be needed across the entire country. Let me get the official statement right there. U.S. DOE AI data centers will supply backup generators to stabilize the energy grid. Wow. I mean, if we could actually get some external energy on the grid from the data centers, from a mandate on the DOE, that could definitely catch a bid. I mean, it just proves these names have more utility than just loading queries for ChatGPT, which is not too bad. Iran making a move. Bloom, is that one flipping green? Bloom, yeah, Bloom flipped green. Look at that. All right. Energy immediately gets the turnaround here. Isn't this more expensive than positive news? Yes, but if people lose energy for 4 or 5 days across the country because of the storm, that would be bad in a host of ways. I mean, like businesses would shut down. If people can't log onto the internet, they can't do what they need to do in terms of the corporate jobs. So if the data centers could provide some type of a backup generator, like that actually could save a lot of money. VG right there, 4%. Amazon, 238. T1 Energy, which was the subject of a short report, look at that, 9% making its move. I guess that short report did not have enough juice in it. Is this an all-time high? Yeah, all-time high today. Look at that. 912, up 9% here on the day. Texas will shut down. Dude, your boy from Texas. For all my Texas folks, your boy Ted Cruz. Your boy's ditching the state once again. Once again, he's out. Ted Cruz spotted on a plane to Laguna Beach. He loves Texas, just not when it's cold. That's it. Not when it's cold. He did this last time, I think in 2021, and it became like a massive controversy. I mean, I don't blame the guy. I get it. It's going to be cold. But it's just, I think it's such a horrible look for a politician who's serving. This goes back to my overall opinion on politics. I don't think the politicians care about you. I just don't. Which is why I don't think you should care about the politicians. Such a bad look for this guy to leave the state that he represents because it's cold. And I know I'm downplaying it when I say it's cold, but like all the other millions of people have to deal with it as well. You should go through it, stand with your fellow compadres that you represent versus flee to Mexico or California. Like that's just like, if I represented a state, like I would just feel like shit. I would feel horrible Like, there's no way I could justify it to myself. I'd rather be freezing than have to deal with that. But that's what Mr. Cruz is doing. Nice little family vacation. Maybe he had vacation plans. It's no biggie. Well, there you go. He's leaving for the weekend. S&P 689.74. Tess says I'd be out of there as soon as the cold hits. See, honestly, so would I. But that's also why I don't want to become a representative for my state, because, you know, when you represent the people, you have to sacrifice your individual sort of like desires for the good of the people, and to make sure that the people know that you're with them. If you're not willing to go through that sacrifice, I mean, do you deserve to be representative? Microsoft, look at her make a move. Same with Netflix. Big tech actually getting some love. Netflix up there 1.9, Microsoft up 3%. You're not thinking about his family? Dude, I would, if I was him, I'd send my family to Laguna Beach and I'd stay in Texas. I feel like that'd be an even better look. Also, there's a lot of other people in Texas that have families. It's like, he has 2 kids. Okay, there's a lot of people that have 2 kids that also have to deal with the cold. Like, he's not special because he has a family. Like, everyone has a family. Like, you know, like, that's just not an argument. But I would understand if he wants to send his family away. Okay, that's fine. But, like, you've got to stay. You've got to deal with it with everyone else. Okay, let's hear Jeremy Siegal. Let's get his take on what he thinks is happening in the broader markets.
I mean, pick your spot here in terms of weighing in on whether you feel as if this long heralded broadening of the market is going to stick with us for a while. Is it durable? And where should we expect it to go from here?
Yes. Good morning, Mike. Listen, I think this has legs. You know, how many head fakes did we have last year? Oh, everyone called it. And, you know, we had like a week where we had value stocks, smaller stocks outperform, and then it just reverted. But I think what we've seen and it's more than just this year, you know, through December, I think there's been questions about the Mag 7, the only AI trade. And listen, it isn't that they're not great companies. It's that, are they going to be the leaders in 2026? And as you mentioned, I think the headwinds are a stronger economy that really does favor value stocks, smaller stocks. I think we've got 2 more rate cuts coming. The short-term interest rate is much more important to smaller stocks than it is the larger. I don't really expect much of a decline in the 10-year bond, but short rates do help that small sector. And then, you know, we do have the tax cuts and others that are going to power consumer spending. We don't quite know GDP third quarter over 4. I don't know if I really believe St. Louis. They say fourth quarter is over 5. There's a lot of question. We have to learn about something.
Silver officially 100. We saw it a couple times, but there it is. 4% on the day. $100 for silver. Put in the chat if you're long silver. And put in the chat if you're like really long silver. But congratulations for those that are making money on silver.
Some gold flows might subtract from that figure, but we're heading into 2026 at a very, very strong rate.
It does seem as if, we finished up last year strong, and we do have some of those tailwinds on the fiscal side kicking in early this year. I guess the question I've always had about, you know, this idea that smaller stocks and value stocks can take the lead is that they seem to obey maybe a little more of a valuation ceiling than, you know, these world-beating growth names that have addressed these huge markets and have been able to grow at, you know, super GDP rates forever. So I wonder if that's going to be a complication in the story.
Well, it is, but when you sell at 15, you don't need much growth to have a really good return. You know, if you work through the mathematics, so you just even grow at the level of nominal GDP and don't super grow, you're going to get some really good returns from a 15 PE stock. Now, when you have a 30 or a 40 PE stock, you can't have that. So it doesn't. The leverage is so much higher on a little bit of growth to get those multiples higher and to get that good return, that this could be there. And by the way, I think another thing that's powering it is this the year of the AI user and not just AI supply. We all know that only 15-20% of firms have really substantially incorporated AI into trying to lower costs. There is a lot out there that can, talking about this is the year where costs could be cut, margins could be improved for those, and with the leverage of a low PE, they could be the outperformer.
And we are starting to hear that from companies on their earnings calls when they're talking about the ways that they're using AI in the back office functions and reducing headcount. Alternately, what's your prediction about what that means for the labor market?
Well, there is a big question there on that. I mean, if you look through the history of technology, there's always other jobs that people rotate on them. Is this going to be faster than what we've seen before? That's a question. But I think, thank goodness, we're not entering into this period in a recession. Job openings are still strong. The labor, unemployment rate under 4.5% is still one where people can find those jobs. But you think of what the margins will be. I mean, I think I've even witnessed it at my company how my commentary gets written in ways that are so much faster and more effective than what we had before we had AI, and how much savings of time and energy. And you go across firms, you could really see, profit margins rise 2-3 percentage points just by moderate incorporation of AI tech.
Which is really important because, again, even just a little bit of AI tech increasing those margins on very large net incomes, I mean, that expands or should expand, at least gives the market the ability to potentially expand PEs. If there's just more earnings, there's a better chance for the PE to go higher. Rocket Lab right there. Look at that, dude. 4%. My goodness. Stock was $80 2 days ago. Back to 92. S&P hit 690. It looks like we're getting a 1050 reversal to the upside. We didn't really have too much downside, but we definitely were flat for a bit. Meta 660. AMD chilled out at 265, but 261. Silver, again, continuing to move incredibly well. ServiceNow, that's up 3%. Sprout Farmers, Chris started talking about this stock. He says it's worth taking a look at it. ASTS, that's up 2%. UPS is flat. Reddit at 215. Satellogic, this is an interesting one, up 6%. I know it's getting a little bit of a space theme. They actually have a partnership with Palantir. The OGs, remember, I made a video on this back in 2022. That's where I remember this company. They're up 146% year to date. Again, I mean, these are very small companies that the entire sector is moving, like 300 million to 604 million. Obviously, massive return. But is it space? Is it a contract they got? Or is it just people bidding it up? I'm not fully sure. Redwire as well. Yes, Redwire. This one, we've talked about Redwire for a long time. I actually visited one of their facilities in California a while ago, one of the suppliers in their facilities, but that one up 13%, as this one is one of the bigger suppliers for the rocket launch companies. Bro, this isn't normal. I agree, it's not normal, which is then a question that deserves to be asked to everyone, which I'm going to put in the chat. Have you looked at IBRX? I have not. I've heard about it, though. It's up another 4% today. This is a biotech, right? Immunity Bio. It's up 280% year to date. Biotechs are just out of my wheelhouse, man. It is tough to understand them. But I have heard people get more excited about this one. Or is it more of a tech platform that like cosplays as a biotech? I just think it's really hard when you're trying to understand. Oh, no, it's definitely a biotech. They experienced significant momentum following positive clinical trial results in regulatory discussion. Yeah, like stuff like this, dude. I really try to be open to everything. But when it comes to looking at the data from the FDA and the trials and stuff, I'm in a league where I can't even pretend I kind of understand what I'm looking at. It's drugs. Like, I just don't know enough about it. But people have made some good money on it. Let me put this question in the chat for a lot of people, which is, does it feel, simple yes or no, does it feel like 2021 when you see something like a Satellogic up 150%? Steve and I were talking about this yesterday. Like, yes, in some respects, but there are so many differences between the earnings multiple, the tech revolution, the AI increasing productivity, the fact that we're cutting rates, not getting ready to hike rates. You got Trump in office, he's super pro-business. Like, there's just so many macro differences. Inflation is not at 10%, it's at 2% or 2.7. Like, I think those are all ways to explain some of the high beta momentum, but it's not necessarily saying the high beta momentum is filled with garbage. Are there some names that are running for no reason? Sure, but like a lot of these names, they do have a reason for the run. You can disagree with Rocket Labs and multiple, but there's a reason why it's running. Whereas in 2021, there was zero reason why any of these names were running. It was just all easy money being printed and then just pushed into the system. Yeah, crypto's not even moving, bro. How is it 2021 and crypto's not even moving? Like, Bitcoin went from what, 10 to 69 at their 61 or something at the top around 2021. I mean, Elon was tweeting about Bitcoin. I remember it was May of 2021. Elon tweeted Bitcoin uses up too much energy and Bitcoin tanked. And Tesla had bought Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So everyone was wondering, why is Elon like talking shit about Bitcoin? But I remember that day. Like that's how much it was in the news. And yeah, May 13th, around early May 2021, that's when he put out the Bitcoin bearish tweets. Wow, interesting. Someone on Polymarket is betting 100,000 that the U.S. will strike Iran by the end of the month. And you know, the thing about this Polymarket stuff is like, it just feels like there's a lot more people that have insider knowledge that are betting on this stuff. 100,000. Trump did say some stuff about Iran yesterday that one could argue is not necessarily the most bullish. I don't know how they're going to regulate the prediction markets, dude. I have no idea. Like, you just continue to see more and more shit happen there. This is what Trump said about Iran yesterday.
Ships going that direction, just in case. We have a big flotilla going in that direction, and we'll see what happens. We have a big force going toward Iran. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I saw 837 hangings on Thursday. They would have been dead. Every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit. It'll make what we did to your Iran nuclear look like peanuts. And an hour before this horrible thing was going to take place, they canceled it. And they actually said they canceled it. They didn't postpone it. They canceled it. So that was a good sign. But we have an armada. We have a massive fleet heading in that direction. And maybe we won't have to use it. We'll see.
There you go. That's Trump's comments. $100,000 bet by January 31st. That's some big money to say in 9 days, 7 days, someone's going to, or the U.S. is going to attack. It's definitely something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Tesla, are we getting the move? Oh, there she goes. 451. All right. Let's go higher. Let's see resistance at 452 on Mr. Tessie. See if this one can actually make a move right here. Oh, 452. There it is. Is it happening, guys? Is it happening, or are they just playing with us? 453 has 28,000 shares. 454 has 11,000 shares. 455 has 44,000 shares. It's not a lot of resistance. Amazon as well. Okay, big tech joining the party. Look at Amazon. Nice little greeny green right there. Very close. It broke 240 for a second. 239.96. And then Meta was also moving today. So Meta, Amazon, Tesla. Meta breaking to 662. Mag 7s are all green. Google, Amazon, Nvidia. Nvidia should be up more, but Nvidia's up. Microsoft is having the what? Look at the Mag 7. Even Apple going green. Feels like there's some news or something. Or it's just Friday shenanigans with the algos. But Microsoft 4, Meta 3, after Meta was up 5 yesterday. Google holding 330. Google's still 4 trillion market cap. Amazon finally back to 240. Nvidia should be breaking 190, but at least Nvidia's up. And then Tesla, 452. Yeah, the Q's up 1%. I mean, maybe it's a the news is America is back. Maybe it's the precursor before earnings, right? Like earnings maybe puts to bed this argument that these large caps are too big to move because their earnings are just going to be so good. Or it's a little bit of a trap right now. But it's nice to see finally large caps getting some love. Coinbase, is that getting hit? Coin on the day. Yeah, coin is down 218. I don't like Coinbase this year. I don't know how anyone could like Coinbase if you think crypto is going to be bad this year. If you think crypto is good, that's a different question. But if you agree crypto might be stuck this year, I don't get how you bet on Coinbase. Like there's nothing they're doing that's not tied to the price of crypto going up or down. At least Robinhood has other stuff that they have to manage. Like Bitcoin's got to go up for this thing to move higher. Tesla 451, S&P 691. Just added JP Morgan 290. Wow, it fell below 300. Huh. Finally down. Yeah, and freaking Brian Armstrong's blocking the Clarity Act, bro. If he didn't do that shit, we might see crypto actually move higher. That's another issue with that. Tesla 450 got hit at 452. All the finance names are down today, though, so it might not be JP Morgan, except Hood. Oh, yeah, and I forgot. Trump is suing JP Morgan for $5 billion. Who thinks he's going to win the lawsuit? He's suing them for blocking his account for political reasons after January 6th. $5 billion is a pretty decent chunk of money. JP Morgan does roughly $57 billion of net income a year. So if they were to pay out $5 billion, that's a pretty big hit on the overall profits. I mean, I feel like that would be bearish. They're probably going to settle. Yeah, I mean, $5 billion, dude. They might pay like $100 million parking ticket and get out of it. $5 billion is aggressive. Someone bought gold calls, 456 price target, 130, $4.1 million. Gold's at 450. Okay, so they bought some at the money calls. 4 million of that in there. 1 million worth of Kava 70 calls for end of February. Kava's at 65. All right, you're seeing the market kind of come back to life, right? If the S&P can break 692, 693, that would be really special. Just got to see if we can break it. Trying to get some other macro headlines, see what else we have. Oh, this was also interesting. The Binance founder finally talked on camera after a while. This guy went to jail, got pardoned. Here's a little bit of what he had to say about everything that's been going on.
I work with an investment team called Easy Labs. I mentor a number of founders in the BNB chain ecosystem space. So we're minority investors. I just mentor them. I also spend quite a lot of time talking with about a dozen governments about how to regulate crypto, how to do tokenization, how to do stable coins. So just crypto advisory work.
And how many of your conversations start with, so what was it like to be in prison and what was it like to be pardoned?
It's definitely a conversation starter. People are very curious about the experience. Most people don't start with that. Most people they small talk for a little while.
Right.
Because starting with that, some people I don't get offended, but some people who have been to prison may get offended. So
well, I'm going to go straight there. I want to know though, what was it like?
It's not fun. It's actually, the movies are pretty accurate. I wrote it in my book, upcoming book. You get, my first roommate is a double murder. But he's been there for like 12 years. He still have 18 years to go. And then, he got moved to a low security prison. Nice guy. But it's not a good experience.
Did you expect this to happen?
No, absolutely not. When I went there, my knowledge from all my legal team was no one in U.S. history has ever went to jail for a single violation of a Banking Secrecy Act, which is a registration failure. It's still a serious crime or offense, but no one went to jail. So just based on that, I thought, American go by precedences. And if we go by that, I should be I think the maximum people got, most bank CEOs just get a deferred prosecution agreement, DPA. I think Arthur Hayes, the other crypto, the BitMEX founder, right, he got 6 months home confinement. That's the most severe one in U.S. history for a single offense. So I thought, I might get a home confinement for 6 months or 12 months, and I just be home on computer. That I can handle. Yeah.
Did you remember the first day?
Yeah, the first day was pretty brutal. So you go in, they strip search you, you strip naked, you show your hands, show your back, the back of your hands, show your ears, open your mouth, show your tongue, lift your balls, flip over, spread your butt cheeks, cough 3 times, that whole thing.
And how did you deal with that emotionally?
I'm usually very emotionally stable. So I just thought, I have 4 months, I just got to get through it. Right, so it won't be fun, but I'll just get through it. So I was like, okay, this is just another day. Yeah.
And what was the pardon process like?
It was actually, I still don't know what the process is. So my understanding is, you have a lawyer that submits a petition.
Right, but when did you even think to yourself there was even a possibility that you could try to seek a pardon?
Interestingly, so it was around March 2005 that it was actually all the media that says, I might be trying to get a pardon. If all the media, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, New York Times are saying that I should be getting a pardon.
This was before you were even thinking about getting a pardon.
Well, the pardon topic came up even before that, but I didn't apply, right? So I got out in October 2024.
Right. So
all the way up until March 2025, Trump was elected in November, and then he got into office in January. I didn't apply, and then I think it was in March, there was quite a lot of articles associating Trump, me, crypto,
right,
even some Abu Dhabi stuff. Like, maybe I should apply. So, asked my lawyers to submit a petition. And then it's like a black box. I don't know what the process is. I still don't.
But I imagine everybody thinks that there's got to be maneuvering around the edges, people trying to whisper to certain people to try to get in front of the president, maybe to get through his family or, Eric Trump or some of his sons and other things.
Not that I know of. I think there's a lot of people giving me a lot of suggestions, but I don't think any of the suggestions have actually worked. The people suggest the most is getting in front of Trump yourself.
Right.
If Trump sees you, President Trump is like a guy that goes by his intuition, but I never got in front of Trump. So I just waited, and then suddenly it happened. Yeah.
Have you had the chance to talk to him?
No, not yet. The closest I got to him was today when he was doing the Board of Peace session. I was in the audience. I was about 30, 40 feet away from him. Never talked to him. Never shook hands. Never. But now I've met him kind of in person, but
right,
a stage audience type of relationship.
Would you like to say something to him if you could?
I want to express my appreciation to him. Obviously, yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I'm super appreciative of the pardon I got.
Right.
Yeah.
As you know, there's been a lot of questions about the pardon and the connection between Binance and the Trumps and what that looks like. Can you speak to that?
Based on my knowledge, there's really no connection. I mean, I think the only thing is, look, the Trump families are in crypto.
Right.
Binance is a large crypto player, and the President Trump's administration is pro crypto, and that helps all the businesses in crypto. That's just good for the crypto industry and good for America as well.
I think
Tom Lee basically said that Binance was the reason for the glitch that happened in October. A lot of you guys are more crypto oriented than me, so I don't know if that's necessarily true, but a lot of people think S&P right there, highs of day, think that Binance had a problem with how they backed certain currencies in their stable coins, which caused the glitch. There's like some complicated way they messed up, and that's what created the deleveraging event, because it created a couple of red candles, and then boom, the whole thing blew up. Binance has been manipulating crypto markets for 10 years. Yeah, like, I don't know this CZ guy too much. I don't know anything about his history. I don't know if he's a good or a bad actor, but he was framed, I think, a couple of years ago as like an SPF, and I think you have a lot of crypto people that support him, that he's not an SPF, but you also have a lot of people think he's a scummy guy. Nonetheless, he is right. The Trump family is heavily invested in crypto. Binance is a massive. I mean, people forget how big the freaking BNB coin is. It's like the top. Yeah, it's the number 4 coin, $121 billion market cap in the world. I mean, we talk about Coinbase and Robinhood, but a lot of people internationally use Binance as their exchange. So it makes sense that he's integrated with them. The Trump family's integrated. I mean, to say that there's no connection between that and the pardon, I would disagree. I think either Barron or Eric said, hey, father, this guy's a big person in the crypto community. There's no reason he should be in jail and be associated as a criminal. And then maybe that's how the job got done. Because you think Trump woke up one morning and was like, oh, CZ should be pardoned. The guy probably had no idea who CZ was. Well, there had to be some type of connection there to make that happen. Tesla right there, 449. 82. Doug says I have a 32 average on BNB. Who does anyone own BNB? It's at $890. This feels like this is one of the most OG crypto names. When did it come out? 2017. 2017. This one came out. Gold, she's trying to go to 5K. Silver's already got 100. She's trying to go to 5K. 49.72. It's pretty incredible. You work for A16Z and don't like Coinbase. First of all, I don't work for them. I don't get a salary or anything from A16Z. They're not paying me for this. They're letting me manage some money, but I don't. And if none of the startups work, then I literally get no upside. So it's not like an actual job or anything. Second of all, A16Z already made their money off Coinbase. Coinbase IPO made a lot of people rich. So I don't even think they care that much anymore about Coinbase stock. I like Coinbase. The stock, I'm just like, it's a crypto proxy. Like, I think there's better ways to play crypto than Coinbase. But BNB is a way higher market capitalization than Coinbase. Coinbase is at 59 billion. BNB is at 150. Except me, I lost a lot on the coin IPO. How did you buy the coin? That IPO went to like 420. It IPO'd at 250, I remember. This is one thing I do remember from 2020, because I know Kathy was pumping the crap out of this. Yeah, it went to 429 the day. Oh, that's how people lost money. They probably, yeah. I mean, if you bought anywhere above 300, yeah, within about, what is this? Within about 2 months, less than 2 months, it fell to 230. And then $40 in 2022. That's crazy. But if you got into the private round, you made a lot of money. When are you selling BM&R? Look, I continue to hold this. I continue to think there's an ETH thesis. I also don't want to say we're in a crypto winter. I know it feels like it, but it feels like a crypto like stabilizing moment where things are flat. It doesn't feel like crypto winter yet. And I don't know, is the 4-year cycle, because if it's not, you know, yes, if ETH gets cut in half, Bitcoin gets cut in half, but I think ETH gets cut in half if the markets get cut in half, not literally cut in half, but I think we need a minimum 10% correction on the S&P to see ETH get hit pretty bad. I still think from a risk on perspective, ETH and Bitcoin will placate to the NASDAQ, even if the NASDAQ outperforms them on a nominal basis. And I'm just a little confused. I've been asking every day, what creates that 10, 15% massive correction in the stock market? It's not earnings. It's not labor market. It's not rate cuts. Maybe it's something geopolitical. But like whenever Tom Lee is like, yeah, we're going to get a 20% correction. I don't want to disagree because I'm like, you can't be naive enough to say you're not going to get some correction. But I'm also just like, why? Why would it have to be a 20% drawdown? It just feels so aggressive. For what exactly? Like what breaks? I'm genuinely curious. What could break that could send it? Like obviously AI being fake, but like I think we have more than enough evidence now, unless literally, and even if OpenAI goes out of business, like okay, that'll be a bad day. But Anthropic and Google are just going to take the market, and so will Meta. Like there's going to be other people that are there. Like we saw TSM's earnings numbers. Are we just going to ignore those? A war? Okay, if we get into a war, then sure. But like the odds of a war, I mean, I don't even know how you factor that into the market. Japan, I don't think is going to cause a risk. Dude, the Japanese central bank will step in if shit gets really that bad. I mean, they've already stepped in multiple times. And so will the US, but so will the Fed. If Japan really has an issue, the Fed will not be afraid to step in. I don't think it's Japan. Government shutdown, and I don't think that's happening anymore, dude. I don't hear any headlines about the shutdown. I know the probabilities are still at 30%, but like no one in Congress, whether it's Hakeem Jeffries or Mike Johnson, no one's talking about the shutdown, which leads me to think they have a compromise that they're ready to sign eventually. 10% makes sense, 20% is clickbait. See, that's exactly what I agree. I think 10% makes sense, 20% feels like clickbait. Remember last time in April when we had this whole liberation thing, that's what caused that type of a drawdown. The 2% day a couple days ago, that was the Greenland thing. That's over. Like you need an event. And the reason I say this is because there's so many dip buyers ready. There's still $7 trillion. Oh, we didn't even look at the money market funds yesterday. There's just so much money on the sidelines too, ready to come in. You need a really ugly event. Yeah, there you go. 30 billion decrease. That's the second week in a row of a decrease on money market funds. Last week was 74. Today is 30. 2 weeks in a row, 100 billion leaving the sidelines. Doesn't have to go into stocks. Could be going into gold. Could be going to silver. Could go into copper, real estate, but it's leaving the risk-free return. What if the U.S. gets downgraded for their debt? So the Moody's already tried that last year. It mattered for like a day. And then it was done. S&P Global, the ratings agency, downgraded us as well. Again, it mattered for like a day. It's like no one cared. It's like, okay, you downgraded us. So what? Like, I don't know if that's enough. I don't know, dude. I'm really curious. What would create that ugly? Because then, dude, if we have a 20% drawdown mid-year, then all of this is fugazi. Everything that we're seeing right now is nonsense. Literally all of it. Nebius, Bloom, Rocket Lab, SanDisk, Micron, even Nvidia holding these levels. Like none of it's going to hold up. All of this is getting chopped in half at minimum if the S&P takes 20% down. And so I think we have to ask ourselves, is this real? And I feel like it's more real than not. Yeah, there's nowhere else to go. American debt is still the best debt. Let's get an update, by the way, on Nvidia and the China news that we had this morning.
As of yet, but we know that there's been ongoing almost every few days a new headline saying that China has approved the H200 shipments. China has it. From my understanding and the reporting that I've done thus far, China's going to treat it on a case-by-case basis for a lot of the companies in China, but will give preferential treatment to the larger companies like ByteDance, Tencent, et cetera, so that they can purchase these chips for their large language models and be able to better compete in the AI infrastructure world, especially against the United States. You're seeing shares up perhaps 1% on this news, perhaps because NVIDIA shares have traded sideways for so long. And the next catalyst is going to be really Rubin and GTC in March. But overall, it's just this ongoing back and forth. And China is the gatekeeper. And we still haven't heard 100% that these sales will go through, but they most likely will, given all of these leaks here and there.
Christina, thank you very much for the wrap up there. Appreciate that.
All right. NVIDIA and China once again played this game. And hopefully they actually end up getting to sell these chips, 187.50 on NVIDIA. Do you still work for UPS? I now work for Best Buy, as you can see. I work for Best Buy. You know who I should work for, though? You know who I should work for? Not UPS, not Best Buy. I should work for the NRA. Because your boy has some guns. You know what I'm talking about? So that's why that was embarrassing. That did not hit. That didn't land. That was bad. That was really bad. Anyway, all right, bro, sign off. Thanks. All right, I think we should sign off. It's 11:20. That's enough for today. That's it. They are coming in though, bro. You can see there's some muscle there, bro. Your boy's been in the gym. They're coming in. I was like Googling what's a gun store. I was like, I don't know a gun store. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna NRA. NRA, for those that don't know, is like the National Rifle Association in America or something. It was not horrible. It was not horrible. All right, I think that's it. I think we're done for the day. S&P 500, nice little move right here, but nothing too crazy. Hopefully we get a little bit more momentum. Big tech is up. Tesla 450, Meta 661. Great day. Amazon almost 240. S&P 690. Hopefully we can continue this momentum to end out a strong third week of January. Volatile week. We dealt with a lot of different headlines and news. Obviously all the Greenland stuff this past week. But if we can end it out at these levels, that would be nice as we get into basically the start of earnings season and the final week before earnings season as we get ready to end out January. You should work for 7-Eleven. Oh my gosh, bro. I can't even lie, dude. Like every 7-Eleven is owned by an Indian. Just is what it is. I don't know why. I need a 7-Eleven outfit. That's what I should do on Halloween, bro. That would kind of be a little funny. Siege, thank you for the $20 super chat. The river of opportunity flows eternal, but yesterday when I tried to buy Intel with you, I was too drunk to realize I did not push the buy button. Well, congrats. You saved yourself some money. But thank you, Siege, for once again the philosophical super chat. Hollis, thanks for the super chat, giving back to blue-collar UPS workers. Appreciate it. Nicholas, thanks for the $10 super chat. I have not looked at TAC. I know people are talking about it. I think this is the one that Chris Camille is excited about as well. This one in Bloom and T1 Energy. I'm going to try to look at this weekend and try to get an understanding of it. Are you buying the Intel dip? If we see below 40, maybe I'm interested. But again, Intel was a gamble yesterday. It wasn't anything serious. So we'd have to see it get a bit more compelling. At 35, I actually would get interested because that's when I wanted to buy it earlier this year. But it ran away pretty quick. All right, word of the day. Word of the day. What do we got? What do we got? I don't even remember is yesterday word of the day or the word of the day before that or the word of the day before that. These words of the days are so ephemeral. It's actually a good word. It means disappearing or fleeting. That actually makes them kind of special, right? They're there for the moment. and then they're just gone. And then we just never say them again. Okay, what do we got? All right, ChatGPT. Let's see what we got. Proleptic was a good one. Why isn't it giving me one? Give me a word of the day. Okay, I don't know how the hell to say this word, but quiescent, in a state of inactivity or dormancy, temporarily quiet but not necessarily done. The stock looked quiescent for months, then one catalyst woke it up overnight. Perfect for dead money until it isn't. Okay, let's see how to say this word. Quiescent, that's how I'm saying it.
Quiescent.
That's so stupid. That is so freaking quiescent. Are you kidding me? That's quiescent. It's like croissant. All right, quiescent. There you go.
Quiescent.
That's what you got. Dead money until it's not dead money. That is our word of the day. All right, folks, I'll be back on the market close. If I don't see you on the close, have a great weekend. I should be here for Sunday futures. Hopefully the power stays good. If you are in the Northeast or Midwest or in that like not western part, but I guess mid-northern or southern western part of the country, please stay safe. Texas, obviously Canada, New Jersey, Chicago, a lot of these places are supposedly going to get a decent chunk of snow. And potentially we're going to have to see what happens with the energy and if the energy can hold up. So please stay safe. I will be back for Sunday futures. And I think that's pretty much it. I will see everybody on the close. Sam Ullman just posted something real quick on X. It is very important the world adopts these tools quickly to make software more secure. There will be many very capable models in the world soon. All right, Sam Altman continuing to try to make the argument that the models are only going to get better and better and better. I'll be back on the close. I think we'll have Steve on the close today. And yeah, that's how we'll be ending out today. Again, if I don't see you, I'll see you on the Sunday Future Show. And if not, I will see people next week. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys later on the close. Bye, everybody.